Leave on Tanya, Jason Dunstall, what are you looking for when we first lay eyes on these teams after the opening ball is bounced in?
Well, so much at stake for both teams. We know they're both tenuously placed on the ladder, but from a Carlton perspective, Joey, they're doing a hell of a lot right this year. Their contested possession work's great. Their clearance work is great. They dominate territory. They defend well, and they're a great pressure team. They do one thing poorly. They don't reward themselves for all their effort. They can't hit the scoreboard. But they're coming up against the one team that's worse than them for hitting the scoreboard. So it's hard to put your finger on what we're going to see tonight.
Yeah, you're spot on. And it feels like it is going to be which team can get their offence going, because in particular the Swans, they've been generating enough inside 50s in recent weeks. They're giving themselves chances. They just can't finish their work inside the forward 50. How much does Joel Amati coming back, straighten them up and give them a target and a bit of a reference point for their smalls to get to work? We'll keep an eye on that. But this Carlton defence, I've rated all year. I mean, they had the one really poor defensive game against the Adelaide Crows, but other than that, they've been elite for most of the season. So sitting here now, I find it hard how the Sydney Swans are going to be able to generate a big enough score unless they find
extra tall in Amati as well. Are they too top heavy?
We'll find out, won't we? It is interesting that they've gone with Ladhams and Amati coming in. Of course, Francis, it sounds like we'll go play defence, and that's a matchup we look forward to.
And there is Joel Amati, their leading goal kicker last year. Silvani in defence, Hamling. He's going to play one-on-one on Wiedering, so it appears. Pitterden is back, and he takes on Grundy. It's a huge game. Round 10, a game where Carlton failed the test last year. At that stage, the Sydney Swans, of course, had just suffered their very first loss of the season. How different 12 months on things are. Difficult conditions, lots of rain this week, so expect that it could be a little sluggish in parts on the SCG. Jared, the crowd's thinner than it should be because of some issues outside with the turnstiles.
The turnstiles have malfunctioned, and there's as many outside as insides, we're told.
You never quite know what to expect when you come to the footy. Pitnet just jabs it out to the outer side. Motlop in his 50th game. Cleary trying to break the other way for the Swans. That's the heft that Pitnet will bring in the follow-up. Grundy, though, with a more forceful handball. Here's Blakey of half-back. Of course, he finished last week getting checked for concussion to Rampy. Driving ball. Haynes has been a great interceptor. He's able to do that again, not with the mark as you saw, but sets Hollands away. He goes to Hewitt, the ex-Swan. Played in the grand final for them back in 2016. Hard to get full motion, but a continuous play, isn't it, Winks? And that trend continues.
I know, just to follow up on what you mentioned about the turnstiles, there are several hundred people still outside. The scanners were down all around the SCG for quite a while, so they're on now, and everyone's starting to pour in.
More angst in the constituency. McGavin, who finished last week's game in hospital, so he's playing Hearns, he kicks well, and Evans at his third club, right into the action for the Blues. They'll get the first decisive inside 50. Harry set himself no mark. Ball skips away and over.
And that's going to have a big say in what happens tonight as well. It's the combination of Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay got amongst the goals last week against the Saints. Good enough to get them over the line. Can they do it again?
Set up around the forward stoppage for the Blues. Motlop's on the move in front. Ball just got past him. Cripps, Walsh, just missed Lord. Try again. Cripps it was his lowest ranked game in 2 years when he played the Swans in the corresponding fixture last year.
And they kicked the first 4 goals of the game, and then it all fell apart for the Blues. On the move was Motlop, and there is Cripps. Warner, special praise from his coach last week from the few that played the 4 quarters. Campbell into the middle, and here is the Chad, but again Hollands was able to at least slow him down. McInerney, just pensive, trying to go forward. I want to go long to where the Carlton defence was set up, so instead it's Lloyd. He does take the longer action, and you can see why the reluctance in the first place is Silvani. Just slips into the hole, takes the mark, and immediately switches to Wiedering.
Well, they want to change angles to Sydney Swans. That's how they like to move the ball forward. But in that instance, Jason, you'd like to be a bit more aggressive and take on the top of the square.
Or tumble punt.
Yes, gave Haynes a little bit of heartburn off to start, then to McGovern. So no harm done for the Blues as they bring it out of defence. Lord has a chance. Kicked the critical goal in the last quarter a week ago. Mackay's his target. He was the finisher last Friday night. Links it up to Lord, who kept on coming. Caresses the ball for Motlop. Couldn't hang on. Cripps, though, underneath. immediately on the board. And that'll be good for Blue Spirits.
Well, it was a great transition from deep in defence all the way forward, and it was a very simple change of direction. It wasn't even a great change of direction because it was a tumble punt, but something broke down in Sydney's setup behind the ball. They were able to go down the other wing all the way. Should have been a mark to Motlop. That's a beautiful kick in. He's got to take that. But then who better to be crumbing it front and square? You can see Cripps pushing down as the ball's coming in. And he's just perfectly positioned. He wasn't even watching the ball coming, just knew where it was going to go. And a great finish on the left leg.
And Jace, that's what we've been seeing a lot this year with Sydney. Their entries are poor. They're ranked 18 for converting their forward 50 entries to scores. And we just saw it again. Just laced out Silvani, bounced back the other way.
7-9 for the season for Patrick Cripps coming in tonight. He kicked 2 behinds last week. They're deep again with both Mackay and Curnow. And here is Mackay running to Sheldrick. Row bottom, tried to steady the ship. McCartan, you can see it wasn't a clean kick, but Cleary was up in it, and he looks to the umpire with pleading eyes, but ignored. Hollands does enough for the Blues.
I feel like it's a good night for Pitnet to come in tonight. Breezy conditions, there'll be a lot of stoppages. Ruckman, similar style to him. They'll crash and bash and get after the ball.
Quick to say how much he's earned it with good form in the VFL. Lord, back to Hollands again. Just places it wide for Cripps. Frustration there.
It's probably a ruckman that would get a game in a lot of other teams, but there is nothing wrong with having 2 quality ruckmen on your list. Even if one has to toil away in the VFL, it's great to be able to call on them when you need them. Someone of the quality of Mark Pitnet.
28 years of age, of course. 7 games and 3 seasons at Hawthorn. 66 for the Blues in 5 years. He last played in the elimination final. Drills it out with Grundy, row bottom. Sheldrick getting a rare opportunity, just his second for the year, to actually start. A high ball, and Hollands had it covered. Remaining off half back. The role he's played so far this season, that's a bit of a meandering, nothing kick forward. Allowed Sheldrick to step in, and then to Warner, just caresses it for a mark. He had to reach for it a little nervously, but so far so good in his return. Oh, this is going to help. It's 50. Well, we know they gave up 7 last week. There didn't seem to be a lot in that from Saad.
I think it was against Hewitt.
Okay.
Maybe just a little bit too close to the side of the mark there on the inside.
That's a gift to his old club. From George Hewitt.
You'll see Hewitt just on the inside. There he is jogging through, not really taking attention of an opponent, not close enough to Warner.
Chad Warner celebrated the 50-metre penalty there. I guess he was one of the culprits last week, so he knows what it feels like. But
he was giving them away for fun last week.
He was. 9 goals, 4 in his 5 games. Of course, his 5th game finished early when he did a hamstring against Collingwood in gather round, and that's a fair way off the mark. Just sneaks in 4 behind for last year's Sydney Swans leading goal kicker.
Oh, the one thing you don't want to do when you've got 2 teams struggling to score is get a gilt-edged set shot from virtually directly in front.
And that's been one of their issues.
And blow it.
Adam Saad wearing number 42, especially poignant tonight. Wolsey's old number with the Blues. A Hall of Fame career in that number. Saad pumps it long. Motlop's trying to be the rover. Brought to ground by Curnow. Roberts underneath. Haphazard hand pass. Chera works it around. Lord's been busy early. Takes territory into centre field. Walsh, good job. Look how we use it.
Quick to look corridor, the Blues, aren't they?
Roll and go and give them a chance. Harry's got 2 against him. Grundy folded back. Durden's underneath. Spreads it around. Hack ball. White trying to open up the play. Lloyd shuts it down. Rampy, old running mates that they are. Roberts has a touch, and Lloyd's job to clear long down the line. Swans have got numbers. Jordan might have marked. Hayward's a chance to make good. Dispossessed and turned it over. So Walsh to push the other way. There's nobody there.
You just mentioned, Jason, it's still early, but Carlton, clearly their intent is to be aggressive with ball in hand. Right from early on, McGovern's kick into the corridor, the run and carry, and that play as well. So they've got no doubt some intent there. That was a bit...
It's a tough 50. That is a tough 50.
I know they told the clubs before last week's round, or the week before, that they were going to come down hard. But it's coming down very strict indeed. Lord, the outside of the boot, Evans back with the flight, dismissed quickly with the fist away, which suddenly looks like an attacking move. Cleary and then high to McInerney. He was vulnerable. Hewitt put it back on Carlton's terms. Haynes with the handball and the directions to Lord, which he follows to absolute perfection. And Harry is out in front and takes the mark.
That's been the blue strength all year. Their tackle pressure around the footy, win the ball back, and then look to go off turnover, which has been improving as the season's gone on. They've done that a few times already to Sydney now, getting after them, 7 tackles early.
3 goals straight last week, including the match sealer. The bad news, if history is bad news, he's kicked 8 goals 20 in 7 games against the Sydney Swans. 1 goal 2 last year, and that wasn't even counting the misses. He would swap that for the one. He wouldn't swap that one for the one last week, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
when the pressure was on.
Gee, he ran well left of his target.
He does have that in him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We saw that last week as well. Straightened it out when it mattered most. Roberts dinks it around. McInerney. Francis is on the run. Kick goes into the corridor. Chance to build through Bice. Finishes the transfer of play. Corey Warner steps inside side. He's hot. He works it off. Hayward slipped over. Back near Corey, who slapped it on. Couldn't make anything of it. Walsh, bit false. Shad Warner on the swing. Didn't quite get enough, although Hamling will set through. Shad Warner, the last 2 goods on Lachlan medals. He opens with a goal. So the Stars are on the job.
Well, when you get opportunities, you've got to punish the opposition. Sam Walsh just didn't quite have his mind and hands on the same wavelength. It looked like they were going to mop the ball up the Saints, but an errant hand pass. Things went awry. And at the other end, it was Paddy Cripps who was on the spot to mop up this time. It's Chad Warner.
And I love the natural defensive instincts, you could say, on the goal line of Hamling. He knew what he was doing down there.
He's the perfect defensive forward, isn't he?
He wasn't thinking about winning that footy. He knew there was an opportunity. He got his body in the way. He got the right bounce.
If you don't want the defensive forward to kick a goal, which he did, of course, a couple of weeks ago, kicked his first goal in his 97th. This is his 99th game. Joel Hamling, but there's Chad Warner and that look of absolute determination on his face. So things tighten up. Chera out of the middle to Cripps. Careful with the hands. McInerney blasting through. And now Jordan on a straight line to goal. It's high again. The defenders do their thing. Laddams. And now Warner underneath. McInerney, Cleary. The more handballs you do in conditions like this, the more prone you are to make a mistake. And they do turn it over. Well, Elijah Hollins is taken care of. Mop does the mopping up. And across it goes to McGovern, who's shaped the kick nicely for Durden. Had a goalless game last week, but has been excellent so far this season. And almost a repeat to Mackay. I don't know if he's got a sand bucket with him, but that's a big, big divot.
He's gone on 2 searching leads, and he's been the recipient of a couple of beautiful passes. The first one from Cooper Lord, and then this one from Corey Durden. That is beautiful on the left foot. Where do you want it as a forward? Now he's got to go back and put that last kick out of his head.
7-3 or 7-2 set shots this year, plus 4 complete misses. He has been better from the other side of the ground, but he's had a good sider here. He makes much better connection, and the shape is just fine. So the big names continue to hit the scoreboard for either team. And it's back to Carlton's advantage now by 5 points.
That just shows the confidence I think he's playing with. He did this last week as well against St Kilda. He shanked a couple, but then his very next kicks, he was able to make amends. We've seen that again, and to your point, Chase, when he gets on those long searching leads, last week against St Kilda, he was getting up on the wings and working back. He's such a dominating type of player. He draws the ball, he can present, he's got this work rate in him, and he's full of confidence at the moment, the way he's playing.
Yeah, Aaron Francis wasn't too impressed with his teammates. It's hard for him.
So different, the 2 set shots too. The first one he ran way left of his target. That one looked to be a much straighter approach and just kicked straight through the ball, whereas he was really kicking across the other one.
Harry's followed play back to the middle as the relief ruckman. He's pitted against Grundy. Blues leading nearly. Tap went past Heaney. Harry works it on a little bit further. Chera, hands and knees out in front of Walsh. Coming the other way, Blakey. It takes a Carlton turn. Binns tosses it up. Motlop lurking underfoot. False with a hand pass by straight in the tackle of Durden.
She's a feel for Harry Mackay. There's got to be better reward for kicking a goal than just go and head into the middle and jump up against the ruckman, will you?
Cripps has to do his turn. Mackay stayed down, didn't quite get enough on it. Spits out the side. Wicks to clear the area. just. Lord has first access. Corey Warner goes with him. And Corey wins out. Turns it straight over though.
Oh, that's
nearly 50. Chance for Hollands. Ollie to put it up to full forwards. With the hands of Young. Francis spikes it away. Gathered by Bice, who's gone to ground. Got rid of it in the nick of time. Corey Warner out to Heaney. Careful against the boundary to Sheldrick.
Downfield, but by that it's like a metre or two from when the free kick actually happened.
It's interesting, isn't it? They preferred Harry to ruck rather than Young, who stayed forward.
Yeah.
So we did see him do it a bit last year, and he seemed to enjoy it.
And it does get him into the game, I get that. I don't like him jumping at centre ball ups, though. You don't want to, that PCL where the knees hit together if you get a jumping ruckman against you.
Sheldrick high towards Grundy, who just got the timing a little out. I thought there might have been some interference against Mackay. Is it in short to Elijah Hollands? Good body of work behind him now since that delayed start to the season. Deep on the kick, that was White flashing through, and Blakey for company. A chance to catch our breath. Quick assessment. Which coach's box would be happiest, do you think, with the way it's being played at the moment?
I think Carlton will be happy with the way the game's being played at the moment. They're setting the ground up really well defensively. See a couple of matchups. James Jordan looks like he's trying to get to Walsh if he can, and Hamling's certainly playing a defensive forward role on Jacob Wiedering.
Benro's in the goal square. He's one of the big Carlton names that hasn't been able to touch the footy yet. He'll have to wait a little longer.
Looks like Sheldrick is going to Cripps at the stoppages too at times.
And he broke through with the natural physical advantage he has on Cripps. Ollie Hollands has been where the ball is a lot, and he takes the mark. Going back from goal, it's his 5th disposal coming up.
It's already their 4th intercept mark through the middle of the ground. Carlton, so getting some good repeat entries.
And they do go deep again. Reaching for it was Young. Grundy stripped of it immediately. Young tries to convince the umpire he's trying to release it, but they get another forward stoppage, this time much closer to goal.
They have been the dominant territory team this year, Carlton, and already 11 to 6 the inside 50s.
Mackay brilliant, down to his boot, couldn't get it online. That would have been something.
We've seen Ruckman grab it out of the ruck, haven't we? But just kick it out like that.
He was right in the play early. Francis redeployed to stand him. And he has the kicking duties. And take the territory right to the middle. How well set are they for it? That went clear. He couldnn't take the mark. McInerney underneath, so it gives the Swans quick transition. Out in front of Laddams, bounds onto it. Has the option in the square. Oh, he looked like he left it short. Hamlin's got it up for the tumbling defender, and Hamlin looks every inch of forward. How long's this been going on?
Quite the forward's reaction there, wasn't it?
Well, let me just correct that. So it was 11 to 4 the inside 50s, not 11 to 6. It's now 11 to 5 with that one. And that's what they're going to have to do, Joe. They've got to get them on the rebound, haven't they?
Yeah, and that was clearly a set play for Aaron Francis to do the kicking in. You're normally expecting Blakey or Bice or Roberts, anyone else, but certainly it would have been the first point of the game, so that was the first behind that Carlton kicked at the other end. We're running this play, and it was straight down the middle. Aaron Francis, everyone was on the same page, and they were able to get the perfect execution to get them going offensively.
Can't say it was the perfect execution here from Laddams. He had him in the square and missed him, but he missed him that badly that Silvani slipped over trying to pull up to go back.
So whichever coach designed that play during the week is no matter what happens from here, he's got something to look back on for the night, and things are tied up again. Second career goal for Joel Hamling. The first came a few weeks ago at the SCG against the Giants.
So right now it's Jordan going to Cripps.
Walsh having a rest at the moment. Riddle Adams. He's come in mostly against the stronger ruckman in the competition. Even stays in even though De Koning not playing tonight. Hewitt's hands were tremendous to Saad, to the wing. Laddams had to go. Durden thought it was inevitable to get to the back. Look at the strength of Patrick Cripps. He hits the brakes at the right moment. White follows on. His little left foot kick a little too dinky. Lloyd beaten to it with a sliding Durden now. Is he going to be penalised for that?
I wonder if it's a tactic, Joey, that there's a late call from Cripps to do the ruck work at a lot of these stoppages, which then effectively breaks the tag, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a good play sometimes for Cripps to do that because, as you said, Jordan wants to get to him. He can do the ruck work and then get at the feet and try and get after the footy.
Kudos out there to do it there.
So Pittman did it there, but the last stoppage, it was Cripps who put the hand up and did the ruck work.
Up it goes again. Adams groans some disappointment himself, I think, more than the decision. So Pitnet just bangs it up forward. Francis playing in front of Curnow. Bice didn't have time to take true possession. So what will the interpretation be of the kick? Throw it in.
Young Lord could have, with a bit more experience, maybe just let that bounce out of bounds and just see if the umpire makes a call rather than grabbing it before it goes over the line. But Pitnet early, he's really having some influence. He's already troubling the 2 rucks for the Swans.
Scores level, middle stages of the opening term. Rowbottom through the stoppage. Blast the Swans forward, 2 on 2. Well done, McGavin. Between Wiedering and McGavin, Haynes and Silvani, they're so well stocked for intercept defenders.
Corridor again.
Yeah, that's not the kick though. Although it's spilt, Wicks has to get on the tidy up. He's only just managed to do it, hasn't quite cleared it, so Hewitt's got it for the Blues. McGavin sets himself just a bit too strong again. He missed both of his kicks. Corey Warner onto it for the Swans. And for a bit of support, runner back through the middle. Blues with numbers around it. Chera shares it with Sard. Up to half forward. 2 against. Spoilmate on Evans. Rampy coming out. Tackles Chera in the follow-up. Halted his progress. Rowbottom had one arm pinned, so could do little. That's a ball up.
Back in motion again. Cripps has a couple of cracks at it. Corey Warner had finally settled for him. He's played full game every game so far this year, so making some progress. Swans injuries, of course, has helped the cause. Roberts, another who continues to grow. Silvani displaced by Marty. Sard. Ollie Hollands continues to amass possessions. He's 8th. Sends them deep. Francis had a quick look at it. Knocked away by McCartan in the follow-up. It's Curnow. He teased and then he handballed to the outside. Durden, not going to be easy. Under duress, he got through the first tackle, but not the second of Rampy. Play on continued to be the call. And Lord, looking to profit, just adjusted the kick at the last moment rather than having a shot. Warner with the spoil. Laddams decisively. Back to Wicks for that very last line. Drives to a one-on-one now. Marty may have been a little overzealous in his work down Silvani.
Well, squares up the last one. Silvani should have gone for front-on contact against Marty. He goes through the bodywork.
Quick work inside 50 to give Curnow a look.
Got to say, the last time it came down, I thought Curnow was brilliant. He competed 1 against 3, and then he was the one doing the crumbing, which kept the ball alive for the Blues. Now he gets a better kick. An opportunity one-on-one. He goes again on the lead. The Blues big forwards have looked good on the lead. They've all been to that same area. Gets the opportunity to go back with a set shot.
There's a milestone calling here for Charlie Curnow. 299 career goals. His first came against the Swans. Is this number 300 for the forward of the era for the Blues? Not yet. It's all the way across. Does not even register.
14-6, the inside 50s again, not getting the reward for all the territory dominance.
Rampy. The territory taker down the line. Grundy and Warner amongst the Flyers at the back. Carroll returning to the Carlton team today. Off to Chera. Again, it'll be deep. Young is the primary target. It might skid. Oh, Roberts. It's got a slightly friendly bounce. That was all he needed. It was just for it to slow up. Just a fraction.
And Sydney just struggling to get it past halfway. Carlton so well set up behind the ball. As we said, a lot of possession gains through the middle of the ground that's giving him these repeat entries.
No set play that time. We're going to go a second.
Lloyd, the easy target. Amati's his man up the line. Spoil made by Haynes, and the Blues mass numbers around it. McGavin threw it forward. Motlop has a look at the options. Trying to get to the top of the square. Amati was terrific across his boot. White, was he clipped high? He fights on regardless. Out it comes. Evans works it on. Durden. There's a wealth of defenders there, though.
And the scrambling defence is good, Sydney, at the moment. They're under all sorts of pressure in their back 50, but they're just finding a way to scramble, not concede a free kick and making it difficult for the Carlton forwards.
Blues dominating territory, trying to get it on the board. Pitnet, beautiful tap, Cripps 3 seconds. Silver service for the skipper. And Pitnet lays his claim. Hey, I got a bit about me too.
Yeah, well, that hurts, doesn't it, Jason, when you said just been scrambling and scrapping away defensively. And Pitnet, I mentioned getting some good service to his midfielders. He's troubling Grundy and Laddams, and that was a perfect little play for Cripps, who was ready for it. He knew he was coming, he was on the move, and then just hesitated slightly, caught Rowbottom off the back foot.
Just might have given Rowbottom a little bit of assistance underneath the football. It was beautiful. A great tap, as you call.
And you saw the celebration. The Carlton boys all went to Mark Pitnet. He's a very popular member of this team.
And what the players love too, Hunter, is when something is a set play. When you know what's supposed to happen and it happens like that, the players love it.
Back in the heart of the SCG, Blues with a 7-point edge. Looking to get more reflection of their dominance in the game. McInerney tough and hard to protect the footy at all costs. Wicks and now Lloyd to launch. Very high ball down the line, just floats a little to Amadi. Haynes continues to defend him well. Corey Warner, maybe a step and a beat too much, but Roberts is amongst the backup crew. And they probe again, but Silvani thwarts them again.
How quickly has he grown into an integral part of the defence, and how good and safe and secure does he look?
I'd love to think about the years they've missed it.
Yes.
Getting back there.
He looks like he's
Jace,
enjoying his football. Yeah, Lynchy?
I was going to say, and it makes McGovern a much better player, so he can slide to the next one. And we've seen Haynes really improve over the last few weeks as well.
And particularly when that man Wiedering often cops the defensive forward, it means the others can thrive and play an important role without Carlton really missing out too much. Great work from Chera. Single-handedly won that little mini contest, and Hewitt, as a result, gives the perfect service. And Curnow will get a second look at his 300th goal.
Gee, that's brilliant. And I think Alistair Lynch makes a valid point. When you get someone else like Silvani that can win those one-on-one contests, instead of having to rely on perhaps the players that aren't as comfortable one-on-one, those like McGovern that like to drift and float in and across and look for their intercepts, it just sets the defensive structure up better, and then they rebound into a situation like this.
So for his 300th goal again, in game number 140, he fires away, and this time Charlie Curnow brings up a milestone that for many years would have seemed a long way away. What a remarkable return to full fitness it's been, and to be, well, one of the most prominent spearheads in the game. And it all started back in 2016 at Marvel Stadium against the Swans. Look at the young Charlie Curnow. The Geelong Falcons. Jacob Wiedering was playing his second game back in 2016. Rather fresh face, isn't it? Hair hasn't changed all that much, just a little bit of a higher cut. But what a player he's become.
Just good surge footy by Carlton in these conditions, as you called it, was Chera. Just kept it moving. Carlton are getting a lot of numbers around the ball. They're working hard to outnumber a contest, winning these ground balls.
13th Blue to reach the 300 game milestone. That's a list that includes Robert Walls. Cripps stripped of the footy. Pitnet's on the job though. Takes the territory for the Blues. Awkward ball to deal with. Off the ground went Rampy. It's a good duel. Cleary came up with it. Dragged off it by Ollie Hollins, who wouldn't be beaten. Sard pushes out with Rowbottom. Rowbottom fed it up. Around it comes. Corey Warner shoots it forward. Heaney to Cleary. Back to Heaney. Hemmed in. So he gives it to Chad Warner. Instinctively to the top of the square. Brilliantly done. And Hayward will be the beneficiary.
That's a clever kick, Chad Warner. I think most people expected him just to have the quick snap, but he knew what was around, and to be able to sum it up that quickly and just kick off the outside of the boot back into the corridor where he knew he had someone. Gee, that's clever.
Had to stretch Will Hayward. He hurt that shoulder against the Bombers, so he's playing under duress. He's kicked goals in 8 of 9 matches this season. Will Hayward just to balance the Swans up. And he does. Keep it manageable in this opening term, down by 7.
Yeah, well, good things happen when Heaney and Warner get involved in a passage of play. Isaac Heaney only had 2 handballs up until that little chain there where he got it a couple of times, and it's so often the case when they get the ball, they make things happen. Most guys would blaze away or just kick to the top of the square. Warner's got the composure and the vision to see Hayward with that little lead.
Just off the outside of the loop. They're actually converting well, Sydney. Just the 8 inside 50s for 4 scores. They're going at 50%. 17 inside 50s for just the 6 scores for Carlton.
Checking that shoulder again, as you mentioned, Jared. Hayward never finished goals against the Blues in 11 career games to make it 12 now after they needed it. As Jay said, they've been pretty ruthlessly efficient up forward. There's only 7 points in it with just over 2 minutes left in this opening turn. Tight again in the middle. Heaney again with the hand pass. As you saw, he couldn't control it. Went to Lord, and then Cripps got involved. Slide from Hayward allows the Blues in through Walsh. Hayward didn't give in though. Jordan, now McInerney's a long kick. Tempers it this time. Almost weighted it perfectly for Cleary. Bit of a broken play, but Amati's handball. Warner knew exactly which way to twist and to turn. And Amati did as well. And it was by too much.
He mightn't have had the same vision as a Chad Warner that we just saw moments ago. It looked like there was an option. It might have been Corey Warner in the middle.
Couple of behinds on return for Amati. McGavin just hangs it up. It's okay. Binns is down there. Laid up short. Silvani, fingerless glove. Really idle about him. And past to McGavin, finds his way through half back. Up to the milling pack. Off hands. Mackay's been prolific early. Neat little touch. Evans sets them up. Curto one way. And reaching in was McCartan. Elijah Hollins was rushed into harm's way there.
Just don't know if they got the communication right. Then it probably would have been the best option if Charlie Curnow could have just propped and kept McCartan out of the contest and allowed Hollins to run back with the flight and take the mark. Maybe not aware of him.
Blues with another venture forward. Grundy, Motlop underneath. Berry. With the Indigenous All-Stars game earlier this year. It's great pride. Stan having done so as well. Nothing doing for the Swans. Rucks go to work again. Grundy holds the space, pushes it out. Motlop's there. He'll run out of space. He's held by the shorts.
You could see off ball those last 2 stoppages. Riley Bice was pointing at Cripps because he was running around on his own and no one was taking accountability for him. He's still here. Looks to have no opponent at the back of this stop.
He'll get on the move.
Grundy, pit nets, nice. Elijah Hollins squeezed the kick. It's at the base of the behind post. It's called out on the full.
48 seconds then remaining. Just the one goal between them at this stage. High ball, Silvani and Amati again. Elijah Hollins to Binns. Excellent return. First time this year, last week at Juggernaut, as the defenders had the better advantage by Tom McCartan. And everyone was pointing towards Amati, who just remains stationary and then drops the mark. Fumbles the chance for the Swans to go forward.
And that was their first intercept mark for the quarter. The Sydney Swans, they just haven't been able to get much control. Carlton, on the other hand, have taken 7, most of those through the middle of the ground, which has given them plenty of looks in this first term.
That's amazing. Last week it was an intercept mark fest against the Bombers, particularly with Blakey and McCartan. Scramble is on here in the dying seconds of the opening term. Hard to see another score, but you never know.
I just saw Cripps and Pitnet just have a quick little chat before this one.
Grundy with some great exaggerated body movements there. The ball socket away from immediate danger, and a bit more of the same. Trying to surge was Hayward. Sargent's paid to that. Wiedering's kick out wide will be the last in anger in an opening term where Carlton had plenty of territory, plenty of looks up forward, as is represented by the 20-9 inside 50s. And ultimately their lead is just 6 points. The Blues looking to level up their season. The Swans have had a difficult year of losses and wins, but they just have 3 to show so far. So There's so much at stake, and at the end of this round of footy, there'll be so much to talk about for Jared and Gary on AFL 360 and the coaches with Beveridge and Adam Uze. Bebo gave us one of the great quotes of the season this week. And on the couch, Jack Revolt and the team with Jordan Lewis, Nathan Buckley and Jonathan Brown.
All right, folks, welcome in. Of course, Friday night football here at the SCG. Sydney taking on Carlton, and at quarter time it's Carlton 4-2-26, leading the Swans 3-2-20. Tell you what, I think the Swans are going to be quite happy there within 6 points, because it's been pretty much Carlton. They've been pretty much in control of this game so far. Yo, Eddie G, what the quack? Game board, Tine, Shouty, Sheila May, Chia. Make a lot of shout out. Yo, Eddie G. Let me just write that. Yo, Eddie G. What's going on? I tell you what, it's a close game here. It's a bit of a scrappy game. It's a pretty good contest game. Carlton should be further in front though. But that's the way it goes. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Carlton, you know what, let's just duck over and have a little bit of a look. Or before we do that, let's have a look at the ins and outs for these teams. Joel Amati is coming in for the Sydney Swans. Peter Ladnams is in also. I tell you what, Amati has had a pretty good opening quarter. I think that's probably one of the best opening quarters I've seen him play for some time. Ben Patton, Hayden McLean going out for the Swans. Oliver Florent is the sub, of course, for the Blue Baggers. Carlton. Pinoy is coming in with Jordan Boyd, Matthew Carroll going out, Lachlan Cowan, Black Acres, Tom De Koning going out. There's a big out. Jordan Boyd is the sub. Of course, only one milestone game this evening, and that's Jesse Motlop of Carlton celebrating his 50th. Let me just scroll, and you'll be able to see the teams there. Especially if you're watching this on replay, you can pause, check out the teams. There we go. All right, let's head over to the player stats quickly. We'll have a little glance at that and have a look at the goal scorers. Paddy Cripps, I tell you what, folks. He's done well in the opening quarter. 6 disposals, 3 kicks, 3 handballs, 2 tackles, a clearance, 2 goals from the superstar Paddy Cripps. Harry Mackay bobbing up with one there for Carlton. And, of course, Charlie Curnow snaring his 300th goal of his career. He comes in with a single after quarter time for the Swannies. Chad Warner, the Chad. Good to see him on the board early with his 7 touches. Joel Hamling and Will Hayward, the other single goal scorers for the Swans so far. No real ball magnets at the moment after quarter time. Justin McInerney for the Swans heads the way on 9 with 4 and 5. 2 clearances. Matty Roberts there with 8. Corey Werner, Chad Warner, the brothers on 7 there for the Swans. For the Blue Baggers, there's a stack on 7. Harry Mackay, Mitch McGovern, Cooper Lord, Oliver Hollands, all on 7 possessions. There we go. Adam Sard there for the Blues on 6. Ooh, they love it when he gets the ball and kicks it. Isaac Heaney, come on, son, you've got to lift. You're the superstar. One of them of Sydney. You got to lift. You know, you and Chad have got to pick up the sticks and lift your game. All right, let's roll on down. Jacob Wiedering just with the 3. Let's head on back down. Brodie Grundy, the big man for Sydney, 3 disposals, 13 hit-outs, 1 clearance. Well done. Joel Amati, he's only had the 3 possessions, but he's been in the play a fair bit. 2 kicks, a handball, a mark, 2 behinds. Just needs to get his accurate kicking boot on. There we go. All right, hang on a minute. Let me just get back to there. All right, hey, folks, let's get back down to the ground because they're going to bounce the ball in just a moment. Where Carlton lead by 6 points.
Swans coaches, they've got to switch it off half back and move the opposition defence. We saw in that quarter, too often, they were going long into a forward 50 where they were just intercept marked against. And so on that occasion, Silvani, this one, McGovern goes back, and then they launch their attack off half back and can hurt you. Sydney are pretty lucky to actually be this close. I mean, over the last 6 weeks, they're the number 1 scoring team off half back. So this is what they've got to do. This is messy, but you've got to go around the defence. McGovern, Wiedering, Haynes back there, and obviously Silvani are set up beautifully to intercept the ball and then launch. So you've got to find a way to go around. So switch the ball off your own intercept and get around this defence that is structured so well.
Couldn't agree with you any more, Lynchy. I think Sydney lucky to be this close as well, because the pressure Carlton's putting on in their forward half, they've created 10 forward half intercepts. Now, the average for a whole game is 21. They've had 10 in the first term. What they haven't done, though, and it's been symptomatic of their season, Joey, is they haven't punished Sydney on the scoreboard.
Yeah, well, this has been the Blues all season long, defending the opposition ball movement, not allowing them to go from one end to the other. And for me, if they are going to start getting through this Carlton defence, it's going to be this man, Nick Blakey. Just the one disposal in that first quarter, even Riley Bice only the 3, so they're going to need to get their hands in their ball users, their creative players that can change angles, can take the game on, and see if they can penetrate the Carlton team defence that is rock solid in this first quarter.
One disposal minus 10 yards for a player that's averaging 529 metres gains throughout the year. Carlton led at quarter time in this corresponding fixture last year and then ended up conceding 17 goals, totally lost the thread after quarter time. The sing-along comes to an end at the SCG. Second term begins, Blues leading by 6 points. They're reluctant to finish the sing-along, but Grundy and Pitnet are eager to get to work. Grundy down there, Heaney, Cripps wore him close. Hand-to-hand combat in the middle. Hewitt trying to ferret it clear. Nothing to bounce from. Secondary ball up. Hewitt fumbled it near Chera, off to Cripps. Saad worked off it by Heaney, McInerney. Heaney, clever and close. Sheldrick up to full forwards. Well, they got in the air. Wiedering brought it to ground. Chad Warner just knocked off it. Carroll came through initially. And Ollie Hollins is the man to clear. Should have been intercepted right back by Sheldrick, who fights the fight. Tidies up the mess. Roberts hangs it out to the side. It arrives for Lloyd. Checks his kick up inside the 50. Placed it well. Cleary couldn't hang on. Ollie Hollins absolutely committed to the cause and breaks the movement down.
He's been solid in the air. Ollie Hollins took 3 of those intercept marks in the first quarter. Putting his body on the line there. 8 disposals. Really starting to flourish and enjoy this role as a small defender this season.
Pitnet and Grundy lean into each other. Grundy with a left-handed tap. Lord, a slight fumble, had a good opening turn. Well, that was all in one motion, just flung out of there by Sheldrick. And hope for the best. Couldn't have gone to a better player to try and find a way that create a goal out of that. And he wasn't far off the mark. Wiedering astounded defence on the last line. Maybe a little nibble of the fingers of McGovern anyway.
Clearly see the fingers there.
Can't be allowing that action to be called a handball. It has to have some level of integrity.
It's a 10-metre throw check.
Yeah. Wiedering, Pitnet up to contest with Grundy. They'll have to do it again for a throw-in.
They have picked up a few in the last week or two, so I think it has come to the attention of the whistleblowers. They've had a big week, though, it's fair to say. They've had a bit to process.
The critical nature of the clash illustrated by those ladder positions. Grundy to the front, he'll have to get after it as well. And passed it around. Corey Warner in close. Sheldrick up to the set forwards. Amati working one way. Wiedering took the intercept mark and they got the free kick to boot.
He's doing some great work in terms of his body positioning, Jack Silvani. He's taking the dangerous space away from Amati. You can see it there, and that forced the free kick, and then he copped the drive-by from Hamling.
Sends Wiedering on his way, long down the line. Cripps got tangled up with Chad, so it's a loaded matchup. Silvani a bit the worse for wear in the back play. Cripps has got to hobble up as well.
It's a limp off, isn't it?
He doesn't look real right. He looks a little upset. Maybe it's worse than one might think.
Looks a bit crook for the Blues all of a sudden.
Just saw that left ankle turn over on Chad Warner's foot in that marking contest.
Over to Wiedering, who hooked it up to half forward. Pitnet brought it down, missed his boot on the way. Caused the congestion as a result. There'll be a lot of fingers crossed as the skipper goes to the bench.
I got hurt in the Bulldogs game a little bit. Felt like it might have slowed him down a little bit, but it was excellent last week, of course. Lord hit the little steal back to Carroll, who got knocked to ground as he kicked it. So inside 50, Young And prolonged watch from Blakey. I think everyone was expecting the ball up. Instead, it got to Hewitt, high ball. And McCartan was able to work Curnow away from that dangerous position as the magic potions come out.
Got pretty heavy strapping on it as it is. Let's hope it's okay though. A little bit more tape going over the top.
Must be better than the old tape. Back up again. Another ball up.
That's a clattering handling into Silvani. Was wide open for that contact. Grundy down to Sheldrick. And down the mine shaft. It drifts beyond the defensive 50. At ground level. Cleary worked it on. Coming the other way. Wiedering. Just a little soft toe. Trying to turn it into the Blues' advantage.
Keep an eye on Jack Silvani. He looks like he's struggling to run at the moment as well. As we see that extra tape going over top of the existing tape for the ankle of Paddy Cripsey. I hope he can get his boot back on.
Magic spray or extra tape.
Jace, that's the second time Silvani's gone down. He went down halfway through the first quarter as well, very slow to get up.
Corey Warner put a step on to open up some possibilities. Flings it forward, Wiedering up into the pack. Ollie Hollins has been prolific. Campbell's got him this time. Given time to get the hand pass away. Lord Haynes, Wiedering, tosses it up the line. Punched away, Blues are pretty well set. Chera has the inboard hand pass to Walsh. Has a look at the options and guides it well. Onto the chest of Curnow. He's going to give Durden a look at the back. Fingertip back, couldn't hang on. Bumped off it. Good body work from Blakey. Durden will still prevail. Live wire in the goal mouth. Blues get the first of the second term.
Well, there's a great lesson there. Greasy conditions, keep your feet. You've got to stay upright to be in the contest. Durden stayed upright. Lewis Young stayed upright. You see a couple of Swans defenders just take themselves out of the contest. It was a beautiful kick from Curnow. I thought he weighted that perfectly. Over the top, nearly a mark from Durden. But then there's the slip over. Another Sydney player goes to ground, which I think it was. And look how quickly Durden bounced up.
Again, it's just through the middle of the ground. The ground balls, those critical contests at the moment. Carlton just outnumbering, working harder to be able to win possession back. And if they use the ball well going forward, they're going to continue to trouble the Swans.
Coach is happy. Durden's 10th goal in his 6th game of the season. Chera gives the forwards another opportunity. Out hard was Frankie Evans. First win as a Blue last week. It's the free kick. Elias is still on the bench. A few tests on that ankle. How much weight it can carry.
Some good signs. He was hopping on it.
Set up from Evans. Young with an impressive lead. Almost dragged it down at his 50th. Quick kick, Roberts. Good kick, Roberts. Grab it home in Rowbottom at half back. Did a bit of umpiring of his own. They're all right up to date with the rules, the Swans, after last week. Protected area was evacuated there. He gives the kick a high, belting down the line. And Hamling did get a fist in to stop Wiedering, taking the intercept mark. There's Jordan thrashing it out on the wing with Evans, who laid 3 tackles in the first quarter. And he's at it again there. Sorry, Lynchy.
Now, I was just going to say, after that good attempt at mark there, the good news is Cripps about to come back on, but Jack Silvani is getting his right quad treated, so he's with the physio at the moment and looks at a fair amount of discomfort.
We've got young Cooper Lloyd who's carrying the load. He's got 10 disposals at the moment, doing some good things inside.
Good kick to a home team. We can hear the soundtrack to that. Grundy. Kicked his first goal of the season last week. He wanted to bring it to the inside, but instead he was able to identify a 2-on-2 at least. Laddams with the hands to Rowbottom. Heaney. The government was ready for him, but it's out on the full.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to have a look at that.
He's backing in the boundary.
That's your line.
That's straight into the ground. And the field umpire was right in front of that one as well.
Yeah.
And he's just gone on the word of the boundary umpire.
Well, bonus for Isaac Heaney. Can he punish them?
Well, he is Such a highly skilled player, very proficient on the left, very proficient. He will take that gift and run with it and celebrate. All that was left to do is collect the high fives after that. And Carlton, and particularly Mitch McGovern, will be bleeding.
In pubs and lounge rooms right around the country, everyone's posing the same question. If you can see the result before the kick is taken, should there be the capacity to overrule it?
It's a good question, Joey, but then how many? How many are we going to look at? Yeah, so many things.
That was so obvious, and the field umpire was right in front. Now the boundary umpire may have just been caught behind right here, so he's essentially guessing. There's the boundary umpire in the background. Field umpire was right there.
Well, if the field umpire saw it, you'd like to think he would overrule the boundary umpire.
Boundary umpire's got no view of that.
No.
You could see where he was. Not the right outcome for the game. 5-point margin in the Blues' favour. Grundy down to Jordan, off to Chad Warner, looking for the targets inside 50. Didn't do him any favours with the kick. Free kick to McGovern. And two more, some high contact. Ollie Hollands gets himself moving. Took the kick down the line. Evans with a good hand. Roberts trying to set up Lloyd. Did well against the boundary. Rowbottom was happy to see it over for a throw-in.
Back to your point, Jared, I think it does get to a point where if it leads to a scoring shot, then there should be an element to review it.
But as Hutto said, how far back do you go in the play that led up to it?
Probably directly. If it leads to a direct scoring shot and you have the opportunity to have a look.
The possession immediately before.
Well, the whole score review system is to get rid of the howlers that happen in our game, and we can put that in that basket.
Grundy's eager to go. With Heaney there, why wouldn't he be? Shallow entry, set up for McGovern. Didn't complete the intercept mark, so Campbell's got a show. Worked it around at Lloyd. Hayward kept the hands free. Gave Wicks a look. Set it up to the teeth of goal. Blues are well set. Haynes has been nobody better for the past 3 weeks at that intercept mark game.
He's almost back to his All-Australian numbers, and there's another 50.
It's been a big resurgence from Nick Haynes because he started the season very shakily. It's maybe just taking a while to settle into things, but he's certainly up and running now. He's intercepting. It's been exceptional the last month.
Interrupts his own 50 metres skate there and swings it left to Saab. He sets sail to Hollands, and quickly they're targeting Mackay along the lead. Francis was close at least. Tentative moment for Binns. Wasn't sure which method to take. Left foot atop of the square. And Blakey finally able to get involved in some intercept action of his own. The Lizard has been lying low so far. Keeps it short to McInerney. Where to now? Doesn't really want to go long down the line, but has to submit in the end. Just tuck the kick at the last moment, try to at least favour Ladders. Success. Swans fans behind. Pluck politely. Can they move it again?
Just where they want it, change angles. Look to switch into the corridor if they can, but make Carlton defend.
Gave up most of the ground they gained, but now it goes back again to Wicks. Who settled in nicely as a small defender this year. Takes off. Just trying to tweak the kick a little. Oh, Hayward had a real chance for a mark. Oh, Jordan decisively. And they do press deep and wide into the pocket with Ladders. So they have to really head to the boundary to get some shots here. And Peter Adams, he's a mixed bag. I don't quite have the same faith, perhaps, we had in Isaac Heaney, but you never know.
Close ball from McGovern. Look at the spin out from Jordan. That is brilliant. And then hits the target. Not quite sure what we're going to get here, Joey. He's changed his mind, it looks like.
He's kicked 3 goals, 1 for the season in 4 games.
It does have the mixed bag.
Just goes for the centering ball. He caught everyone a bit off guard. Durden jammed it on the boot successfully to McGovern. Blues looking to swing it. Instead, he went by hand to Walsh, take a more secure path, but nonetheless an aggressive path through the middle to Young, who kicks down. You can see they just need the accommodating bounce. Mackay, Binns deferred to him, and he was well captured.
They just didn't talk. They had that to themselves, the Blues. It didn't look a great kick, but it was actually perfect out in front. But there was just Not enough urgency, not enough talk before Harry Mackay was closed down. Just a quick hand pass and Binns has options.
Campbell had his wits about.
Yeah, they've lifted their intensity the last 5 or 6 minutes, Sydney. So they've got the game back on their terms. Isaac Heaney's been a big part of that. He's been getting some footy.
Grundy feeds it away. Sheldrick gives them another look. Heaney is set. Saad did just enough. Still to be dealt with. Saad paddles. Did ever so well. Lord McGovern slipping for the outlet kick. He'll take the territory with nothing short on offer. Big pack. Interference. Carlton free kick. Cripps taken down. So the ankle restrapped. Took a couple of goals. Just early contact from Campbell.
Nothing to go to. Still have to kick to a contest.
Disposal number 10 for the skipper. Set it up. Francis read the drop zone well. Pushed it away. Binns worked off it. Francis, can he get away with that? I doubt it. Just the hack kick. There's no alibi.
Lynchy, Jack Silvani, he spent a bit of time off the ground. Any update there?
Yeah, it looks like he's been given the all clear to come back on. Just with the ball on the far side, he's been waiting for the last 90 seconds to get on, so can't yet.
Oh, good news for the Blues.
Binns to the pack. Grundy toppled over it. Ground ball, Motlop closing, kept away from him. Campbell did well. That's a lovely mark from Hayward. Instinctive stuff. Grundy's a bit the worst for wear.
Sorts of risk in that Roberts is able to steady the ship. Driving it out wide. Blues well equipped though. McGovern let it bounce and settle. Over Cleary's head to Carroll. Just keeps it in the field of play to Lord, who realises there's quite a gaping hole on the wing to Elijah Hollands. And then down the line, continuing to work the flanks. Curdo, they've really been able to space their work perfectly. And the Swans in a bit of defensive disarray there. And Francis Evans with the markers. Francis is the latest player to get some medical attention. Maybe in the follow-up from that marking contest before.
We saw there the big thigh of Brodie Grundy straight into the side of Francis' head. So he'll have to get at least some sort of assessment.
So Francis Evans, third club, Cats, Port Adelaide, now a Blue. Enjoyed getting in the song last week as a winner for the first time. That floats across. Young threatens. Cripps already has two. Back to Elijah Hollands. Had to work out the method to have a shot. Squeezing, kick back to the top of the square. Durden was the flyer from the Binns rush at goal.
I know, I think the umpires have just stopped the game while Francis is struggling to get from the ground. So the umpires have called a stop to the game.
Excellent.
Well, he was a little bit off balance in the one-on-one battle with his opponent in Big Harry. Unfortunately, Harry Mackay, but thrust his body back at an awkward angle. And it was his teammate coming past, the ruckman, and Brodie Grundy, who just collected him. And a lot of weight would have gone through that bump, so he's certainly feeling it.
So I thought it was the sub.
Which is a bit of a statement in itself, wasn't
Yeah, it was, yeah.
From Ben Cox to Ollie Florin, who's been a regular for a long time.
And generally a really consistent, reliable member of this Swans team. And see now Dean Cox starting to think about their plans, what it would look like for their back unit. Does Hamlin go back? Does Nick Blakey just change his role up? They'll have to have some things to consider.
The method by which he's left the ground too is a little bit different to last week, isn't it, too? Just making sure he's just going nice and slowly off the ground.
Look pretty sick and sorry. So we'll wait to hear. Fingers crossed for him too. Roberts brings it in long. Silvani wore some heavy contacts. Walsh run down by Marty, holding the ball.
So I wonder if they're going to stop things again here. Is Silvani okay? Gee, he looks proggy, doesn't he?
Well, he's up and jogging away, but that was a solid hit to the head.
He's not moving well.
Marty, not a great kick. Mackay didn't end up taking the mark. Adams did just enough. Rowbottom caught with it. Silvani gets himself right back in the cold face. Here's the hit from the side. McInerney. Does he have a case to answer there?
He may well have.
He's already missed 4 weeks, McInerney, this year.
Rowbottom around the perimeter. Body work to be done. Bice brought it to ground for Amati to Proffer. Off to Campbell. Looking for the targeting, Chad Warner. Warned close by Ollie Hollands, maybe a bit too close. walking wounded everywhere as Chad Warner rises hobbled.
It was the out-of-zone umpire that blew the whistle there. Come from a long way to call the free kick. It looked like it was probably there. Ollie Holland's put a lot of work into him. We know he's got the distance. Just the one disposal this quarter after being pretty impressive in that first term.
Has terrorised the Blues in recent home and away fixtures. Already with a goal, but he won't add to it here. 6 Brownlow votes from the last 2 times they've met, as well as the Lachlan medal. Nothing for the score, though. So I reckon that doctor is after Jack Silvani for an appointment.
Yep.
Busy at the moment, the medical centre. High ball. Cripps lifting early. Quite get the timing precise. And it's worked over the boundary line and out of bounds. So
I think you're right, Jared. They watched the vision, then the doctor left the dugout and went out to Jack, so he hasn't got to him yet.
They need a fishing hook, don't they? Just grab them by the collar. Carlton by 6. All sorts of elements to this game. Sheldrick's handball not accepted by Roberts. Hewitt got better response from Binns. Rampy committed to spoil the ball at the very least. Jordan had just sat on the chalk. Oh, then he gets cleaned up. Elijah Hollins the villain that time.
Yeah, that was reckless from Elijah Hollins.
So Francis going downstairs first for the Swans. James Jordan, his 100th game last week. And Zach Merritt for company. How's that for a reward for your milestone game? Warner from one angle. Hollins continues to track it from the other. Campbell involved. Warner. Sheldrick. The give was there to Amati. Instead, he's cobbled the kick to McInerney. 30 metres out from goal, and he can tie this game up.
You say cobbled, I say fluke.
Yeah. I'm going with cobbled.
A shank off the outside of the boot, and he knows it. But again, they get an opportunity. So take a bit of luck when it comes your way. We saw Heaney get the free kick before when it shouldn't have happened, and that is just a complete shank off the side of the boot that hits a teammate. Now McInerney's got to go back and finish.
Let the cobblers cobble, Jace. As we watch McInerney kick one last week, missed one, but he hasn't missed that. And scores are level. The Swans hit back.
Yeah, it's been a much better quarter from the Sydney Swans, particularly around the ball, the clearance and ground ball contest game. You saw that passage of play out on the wing. Braden Campbell did so well to keep this ball off. Outworked 2 of them just to tap it into the path of Chad Warner. Sydney getting more numbers, a bit more energy around these loose balls. Starting to equalise, and now they're getting their opportunities inside the forward half of the ground. It's been a good fight back.
He did have some great looks in the last quarter last week. McInerney, he nailed one, but he missed 2 others.
He missed that really long shot as well. That was his first goal for the year last week, so he has 2 now.
Plenty of drama in this term. Swans 2 goals to 1. They've drawn level. 6:06 to go in the half. Sydney taking control of the clearances. Grundy freed himself to win a tap. Chera onto the footy. Sheldrick did enough. And Jordan comes through. Tipped away from him by Carroll and then dispossessed by Carroll. Grundy didn't do McInerney any favours. Shuffled it in close to Heaney. It was all a bit too close. The tackle's laid on Hewitt.
Ready, Matt.
Grundy ferrets away. McInerney, Sheldrick on the turn. Slices it up to full forward. Marty went the spoil, hoping Hayward or the jag. Warner overruns it. Hamling's onto it. They're all onto him.
Sheldrick 14 disposals in the game. That is game high, and 9 in this quarter.
And Grundy as well, really getting to work around these contests.
Goal side for the Swans. Smart tries. Hewitt fed it up. Walsh. It just wafts beyond the defensive 50. McCartan. They pushed up a long way, the Swans defenders. Bice couldn't control it.
Callum Mills there at the back of the coach's box after a successful return to the VFL. Half a game. Won't be long. This is why this game and games like this are so important, isn't it, to the Swans, that they can get some wins and then get their troops back post-bye. It can still be a force. At least a finals contender. Chera comes away through the middle as an aggressive line. A lot had to go right. Not much did, but it got to Curnow in the end, who didn't give up. Bice already telling everyone where he's going to hit the next one. Down to Corey Warner. He lost his footing completely. Evans tries to use the conditions to at least feign that he's trying to get it to Motlop.
That section of the SCG been very slippery again, hasn't it? We've seen a lot of players go down in recent weeks.
Yeah, heavy going around that part of the track. Scores a level. Grundy with the tap. Evans sneaks out a kick. Carlton is there just in case. Have to give the Blues the lead once again.
Lakey, just the 2 touches.
He hasn't looked like going on a run either, has he? He hasn't had that urgency to link up and get involved.
It's a freebie from the kick in. Heaney's the decisive flyer. And the ground ball player Walsh took him off at Chera. Without Walsh pleading his case for holding the ball.
He's lifted Isaac Heaney in his second term. A couple of clearances, 7 disposals, kicked that goal.
2 champs side by side momentarily. Hewitt goes and takes closer order on Heaney. Sheldrick, prolific in this term, gave it up though to Walsh. Whipped it around to Elijah Hollands out in front of Carroll, who just hack it forward. See what the Blues might be able to muster at the 50. Bice has overrun it. Evans threatens. Numbers against him. Lloyd got taken high. So did Bice.
Oh, looked like he ducked the head. Tough one for the tackler. Got to be very careful.
Bice has just cooled over the past couple of weeks after his hot start to his career. Carlton. 2 number 30s played on each other.
So, Jared, just an update on Francis, obviously down for a head injury assessment as this ball comes close. And Jack Silvani, I've done it again. Jack Silvani has been all cleared. So the doctor went out, spoke to him, came back, watched the vision again, and gave him the thumbs up.
So plenty of ailments for Jack Silvani, but the head not one of them. Long in the Grundy direction, plenty of Blues around him. Ollie Hollands with a chance to keep it in. Give it straight back though. Lloyd with footy in hand.
Ideally, they want to change angles here. They want to try and avoid kicking on down the line to Wiedering and Co, but Carlton have held him up pretty well.
Switch not quite there in the veterans' estimation. So back down the line and Picknett controls the airwaves.
Good take from the big number 27 on return. Patrick Cripps set up 1 goal in the first quarter. Big numbers on the wing. Mackay will become accustomed to this, getting up the ground, being a target down the line. A slap and bash down in the clinches. A lot to write home about there. We'll have a ball up. The Blues by 1. Clearly conditions affecting a lot about tonight's game. Low-scoring affair makes every goal precious. Heaney, out of anyone even seeing how he got it from hand to foot? To Warner. The Stars try to make things happen. Laddams has pushed deep as well. And options to the right. In fact, that's the direction he takes. A little nudge from Heaney. Slaps the ground and his opposite hand in disappointment.
You could see what Warner was doing. He thought, there's a one-on-one. I'll back Isaac Heaney to beat his man.
7 each for the free kicks for the quarter. Chera, pretty consistent this year. Finally getting a good run at it again with the Blues. Away from Georgie Hewitt. Dean Cox a little calmer than we saw last week. It was a shocking first half. He's had to endure some bad halves this year too, Dean Cox. And they've had some good ones as well, but not enough as far as he's concerned in his first year. Cripps, the neat little handoff to Walsh. More of the same to Hewitt. The mainstays of the midfield, up to the wing. Rampy denies Mackay. Hewitt comes again and again. Warner grabbed onto the Guernsey, didn't stop the handball to Chera. Suddenly some fluency. Cripps, Young is the target. Early body work, and White kept it alive. Elijah Hollands, goal square. Again, it's all a bit haphazard, and Jordan is the escort to the boundary.
I haven't seen much of that handball play from Carlton, particularly in this quarter. It's been much tougher going for them. They had a nice passage there. You can see Blakey had to go to Lewis Young, but they weren't able to find that mark inside forward 50.
Yeah, unfortunately, when Cripps got the ball, there was no one leading up at him. They were all trapped in the pocket.
Blues looking to build this lead on the way to halftime. Jordan has other ideas. How the umpires see that if it slips over, the players got to it. So Carlton with this shocking record of the SCG, which dates back to 1993, just the 2 wins. But the most recent was in a low-scoring slog like this. It was 9 goals to 8. David Teague was the Blues coach in round 17, 2019, and Nick Newman was the best on ground. Grundy puts it down, Hewitt onto it, Pitnet feeds it around, Shearer away to Binns, gives them a look in the pocket, and Harry's there to mark it. Blakey most aggrieved with a lack of coverage on Mackay.
Sets up well for the left foot kick around the corner. Just held, he fought for front spot on Blakey, pushed him away. Good contested mark, now needs to finish.
He's got the lot, he's going to go all behind and one that didn't score. Harry Mackay dragged it through for a goal. Nudged in at the near post. And Carlton do build that lead on the way to halftime.
That was just a good one-on-one win. It was a contest. We mentioned that Blakey's had to play taller now while Aaron Francis gets assessed. And he's been able to finish. He's kicking the ball really nicely. This was last week. Had some clutch moments.
He did, didn't he? 3 big goals, including one that sealed it all. And it felt a bit special. He put that through. Lifted a bit of a weight as well. They are a different team when they have Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow functioning, which they haven't had a lot through there in different form since about 3/4 mark of last season. Curnow, remembering, was injured a lot of that end of last year, and it was a late start to this year. Back to a 7-point Carlton lead. Hands were so slick out of the middle. McInerney, the receiver, after Heaney got them going. And Carroll reaching back. Takes the mark. Nice start to his career at Carlton. His last game against the Crows was one where he'll learn a few lessons out of. But promising start. Lord with length on the kick. That was Blakey with the fist over the top. Bice the tackler to Chera. Hewitt had a couple of second thoughts on the kick, but didn't have any time to waste, and as a result, Motlop's kick is just for fun. What was it behind anyway? Carlton's lead is 7 points, so the late goal in that quarter meant that it was 2 goals 2 to 2 goals 1, and things are very tight, Gary Lyon, at halftime.
No, indeed, hello. Welcome to Friday Night Free on Fox. It's brought to you by Industry Super Funds. When it comes to super, there's only one symbol to look for. Jonathan Brown, Nathan Buckley and Jordan Lewis. 7-point margin, I think, is getting there.
Yeah, that's why you got to check it twice, because you think Carlton, it felt like Carlton were a fair bit
I was going to say, I think the Swans have done a pretty good job to maintain touch.
Slippery conditions, especially that top left pocket. Everyone seems to be going over there. So, but high pressure game as we expected. So Carlton are over 200. We'll have a look at those numbers, and Sydney are just under it. So no time or space. Hard to get flow of possessions together. So it's who's going to stand up and take their moments.
I think the mental game coming into half-time, I think Sydney would be quite pleased that they're only 7 points behind, and Carlton just left a few opportunities out there. They had a stack of possession in the first quarter, which we'll go through, didn't capitalise. You leave a good side like Sydney into it, gain confidence at half-time.
Yeah, so Harvey Norman highlights. We'll have a look at this territory battle. They had domination, particularly early in the piece. That was territory predominantly. And as you say, just weren't able to make the most of it.
And this is what forward pressure does. Like the quick kicks out of your defensive 50, and they were all under pressure. And Ollie Helens was the one. He ended up taking 3 intercept marks across that midfield zone, and Carlton really owned territory early. Sydney were able to find a little bit of space to be able to get out of there as the game progressed. But
these hat kicks out of their back half just played in the hands, and particularly, as you said, Ollie Hollins was outstanding.
Well, I think that the pressure has fueled the rest of their game. It helps their defence, it helps their intercept game, and it does help their offence as well. As you can see there, Haynes coming off and turning over the ball through the middle of the field. They haven't scored from front half turnovers, but they've had a few. They've had quite a few.
Yeah, so the forward half intercepts, as you can see there. That's in a half of a game. So from that point of view, as the boys are talking about, you'd expect the scoreboard perhaps to reflect it in a more positive way.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of positives to look at that. I think their centre forward, so in between the centre square and the forward 50, those turnovers become really difficult because you're going back into congestion. It seemed like those centre back turnovers was where they got a little bit more space and used the ball really well.
Yeah, they did. And I thought they hit the targets well when they got the opportunity going inside 50. When the field was stretched out, if we look at this vision, going into Mackay, going into Kerno, had some really good opportunities early on. It was probably a rare occurrence, Gaz, only because most of the time the game was in the front half for Carlton, especially in that first quarter. But I thought they sharpened that up, and that has been a problem throughout the year, Bucks. You're speaking to it coming into the game.
Yeah, well, there was a little bit more space in the early stages of the first quarter, and Lord's hit a couple of targets in there, and he's had 12 touches, had a really good first half. Silvani there, who I think is an underrated user of the footy. We talk about his aerial work and obviously his toughness, but just lowering the eyes and being able to hit, haven't been able to take full toll on the scoreboard. Potentially some of the last kicks and the accuracy at goal has not been where they would have liked to have been. But some connection that's actually worked really well.
It has, and this would be the frustration, I would imagine, out of that first quarter and a half, particularly from Michael Voss's point of view. They did a lot right, but then weren't able to turn them into scores. So from that point of view, it's an issue for them. Yeah, so only 4 marks inside the forward 50 from 20 entries, 70% time in forward half. So that was a big number. Yeah, that was huge for only one goal from that particular part. So look, there's a lot of positives, but that cream on the top, which you would imagine Voss is talking about at half time. Speaking about cream, it is all cream on the top when you talk about this one up. Heaney and Warner. So every single thing that was working for the Sydney Swans was going through these two. I mean, for a period of time early in the piece, they couldn't get a look at it because they couldn't get a look in their forward half. But when it did, Heaney involved in 4 of their first 5 scores, and Warner involved 4 of their first 5, and then Heaney gets in on the out.
It's all about front half possessions for these two. You don't want them getting it in the back half, Gaz, unless it's saving a match-winning goal. But obviously, look, we spoke to Coxie pre-game, and he thought that Isaac Heaney was going to play a fair bit of full forward, maybe because of the slippery conditions. You're going to set him up around the midfield a little bit more. But these boys definitely midfield forward. Let's be honest, if it doesn't go into either one of their hands, they actually don't look like scoring. So you just see the good decisions they make, the poise, the predictability, because they don't fumble, they make really good decisions. It just seems like if it doesn't go through a pair of Heaney or Warner's hands, they don't look like scoring.
If Hamling has to go back, then Heaney's going to spend even more time forward to play, and Warner as well. So if they get enough supply and those two are in there, they could score enough. It speaks to where they're at, though, doesn't it? I mean, last year it was Papley, it was Heaney, and it was Warner, and it was Blakey. And now Papley's not there. Blakey hardly touched the footy in the first half. And Goulden's not there at all, and it falls on the other two. Have a look at this. We saw this. We think this might be a set play here, and we think that Aaron Francis might have been slow to pick it up. So this is the first kick into the goal. So Nick Blakey who would normally take it, right? Righto, we've decided on this, and Aaron Francis goes, oh yeah, we have too. So watch Big Peter Adams is the ruckman up on centre wing, way out there on the centre wing. So Francis holds the foot. Hold it well. Aloft, yep. And then just bangs it down the middle of the ground. As soon as he kicks it, Big Pete Adams is off. He's charging forward, and I think it's Mark Pitnet there, or it might have been Wiedering even, that got left behind. Goes through the middle, and then it all plays out. I think Nick Blakey turned around to Aaron Francis and said, mate, come on. It was definitely a set play. And I think it happened more. I think you often... I've often, as a player and a coach, the first kick in that you get, which is when the players are going to remember it. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to run with. Yeah. I think Aaron Francis might have forgotten about it, but Nick Blakey was onto it, and thankfully Peter Adams was on it as well. Yeah, it was outstanding in the end. Let's go to Johnny Ralph. There's been a couple of incidents, big injury, of course, to Aaron Francis and concussions, and what you do with these players, and do you stop the game is a big talking point. Justin McInerney might be in some trouble as well. Ralphie, welcome. Hello, guys. So when you're under siege like the AFL, everything comes under the spotlight. So certainly the Aaron Francis incident will be one of those. I've spoken to Sydney. He has now been subbed out of the game. So Ollie Florent comes in. As you can see, the big thigh of Brody Grundy into the back of his head. Now, it also took the AFL umpires 95 seconds to stop play before he got off the ground. Now, the AFL said in that now infamous Friday memo after the Lockie Schultz incident, the umpires are instructed to stop play as soon as they are aware there is an injured player in the vicinity.
vicinity. So that absolutely is up to the AFL for their interpretation or the umpires. So again, he was in a forward pocket there. There were options there for them with multiple marks to do that. I'm sure they'll get their facts straight before they give us clarification tomorrow. Now, Justin McInerney, I think he's absolutely under the gun from the MRO for his high bump on Jack Silvani. Now, as you can see, he hits him high. He doesn't use his duty of care. He doesn't make a play on the ball, and Silvani goes to ground. It fits snugly, I think, as that medium impact 1 week ban. We realised that he was suspended for 3 weeks for that high hit earlier in the season on Brandon Starcevic. Now, we saw the doctor trying to get to him. Those HIAs can at times take place off the field. There are also times when they're allowed to be on the field. So clearly the doctor gets to him. The AFL will tick that one off as well. But as I say, I think that McInerney potentially facing a 1 week ban.
Just back on the Francis one, Ralphie, just clarify in the vicinity, because he was a long way from the play as it was.
Yeah, and I think the initial incident there, he's a long way from the play, but then he gets across the field, the doctor gets to him. There were times there where that ball was in live play. All that takes is a 2-second switch, and all of a sudden the ball's going towards him and he's in a position of peril there. So, look, I think if the AFL had their druthers after what has just happened, as soon as he went down and the doctor got to him, I think that they would have preferred that play was stopped immediately, and then, of course, he gets off and play can resume.
All right, Ralphie, we'll touch base again post-game. We're going to go to Alistair Lynch. Lynchy, for industry super fans, what are you looking forward to in the second half?
Well, I think the stand-out thing for me, and you touched on it before, was reward for effort for Carlton. They're plus 10 for forward 50 entries, and they're just not hitting their targets inside the forward 50. So that's where they've got to tidy up their game, and that's probably a compliment to the Sydney Swans midfield as well. I think this is a high-pressure game in pretty slippery conditions, so the pressure from Sydney making it very hard for the Carlton Footy Club to score when they go inside 50.
Very much in the balance. Good on you, Lynchy. Appreciate that. We're going to take a break here. On the other side, we'll pay tribute and share some memories and the passing of the great Robert Walls.
All right, folks, here we go. Half time. It's the Blue Baggers by 7 points. 6-4. 40 leading the Swans. 5-3-33. A little bit more even second term in that quarter. Of course, after Carlton having control of the opening term, as I was saying earlier on, I think Sydney will be very happy. Only being 7 points adrift here. Of course, a little bit of a goal for goal in that second term. Sydney doing all right, though. 2 goals, 1 they put on in that second term. 2 goals, 2 the Blue Baggers. So the Blue Baggers ended up winning that. Hey, Sheila May, gee, make a love shout out. So famous Mikey, Shelty, Charat, Oriva, Chia, Oriva. Ryan, what's happening, young fella? What's happening? Your team's going to have a good game on the weekend. I think that's Sunday, coming up against the West Coast Eagles. That should be an absolute ripper game. Hey, before we go any further, let's just have a look at the ladder. This is where these two teams stood prior to tonight's game. Of course, we have, oh my God, Sydney Carlton, isn't it? Carlton are sitting 10th on the ladder after playing 9. 4 wins, 5 losses, 16 points. Sydney, after playing 9, 12 points, 3 wins, 6 losses. If we just switch that live ladder on, as the game stands at the moment, Carlton will move up into 9th. Only a percentage away from the Giants in 8th. If Carlton end up hanging on to win this game, we'll keep the live ladder open there for a little bit. Let's switch over there and have a look at the goal scorers so far. Well, it was only about 4 extra goals put on in that second term. That's all right. Harry Mackay, the big man, 2 goals there for the Blues. And, of course, Paddy Cripps, the superstar, also 2 goals for him. Durden, I should say, and Charlie Curnow, the other single goal scorers for Carlton. Chad Warner hasn't added to his tally, nor has Isaac Heaney. Both were singles. McInerney and Haywood and Hamling are the goal scorers there for Sydney, all singles. No multiples. There we go. Angus Sheldrick, Justin McInerney, topped the table on the disposal count up until half-time. Both with 16, both with 3 clearances. Doing a good job there. Adam Kehrer, though, tops the table for the Carlton Football Club on 15 possessions, 5 kicks, 10 handball. Isaac Heaney, well, a little bit better second term there from him. Nice to see 14 touches from Isaac Heaney. 1 goal, 1 is kicked from his 5 kicks. He's had 9 handballs, 4 clearances also, so doing quite well. Paddy Cripps, the star from Carlton, 13 touches, 3 clearances, 2 goals. You got to love Paddy. Hopefully he plays all right. He did roll his ankle just a slight bit. In that term, he had to just head back off and get that retaped again. So hopefully all's well with Paddy. Chad Warner, just the 11 there. He still needs to lift a little bit more. Need a big game out. Brody Grundy's going well though for Sydney. Coming to that second term well. 10 touches now. 2 kicks, 8 handballs. He's had a couple of tackles. 27 hitouts, 5 clearances. He's going all right, Brody. Sam Walsh, a little bit quiet there for the Blues, just with the 10 and 1 clearance. Let's keep on rolling. Harry Mackay there, 2 goals, 1 for the Blues off his 9 touches. 6 kicks, so he's scoring a 50% for his kick ratio there. Will Hayward just with a 7. James Jordan, 9 for the Swans. Charlie Curnow, a little bit quieter in that second term. 6 disposals, 5 kicks, 1 handball. He's had 4 grabs though, just with that 1 goal, his 300th goal. Dane Rampy just with a 5 there for Sydney. Joel Amadi, well, he's been rather quiet after quarter time. He's only still had the 5 touches. Didn't add on to his tally, just still only the 2 behinds. And Nick, the Blakey Lizard, 3 touches there for the Swans. Let's just have a quick look at the disposal count. And the team stats, there we go, Carlton plus 8. So she's a pretty tight, scrappy game. Really well contested. It's a hard-fought game. It's an arm wrestle, you would say, this game this evening. It's just a matter of who's going to take their chances. Of course, there hasn't really been too much free-flowing football here tonight. Both teams putting on good pressure. Handballs, it's the Sydney Swans by 4. Inside 50s, 22-32. 8 scoring shots for Sydney's 22 inside 50s, and of course 32 insides for Carlton for 10 scoring shots. 68-69, not too bad on the efficiency, disposal efficiency around the ground. It'll be nice to see that lift. Free kicks, well, pretty clean game there this evening. 9 apiece, not much happening there. The hit out, so Grundy doing his job well. 30-13 plus 17 dominating in that area. Clearances, Sydney winning in all 3 aspects of this. 25-16 clearances, 5-4 in the centre clearances, and of course 20-12 in the stoppage clearances there. So they're doing well. Sydney contested possessions, both teams. As I said, as we stated in the commentators, it's a pretty high contested game. This one, 73-76. Both teams going above team average, and of course uncontested. Just shows the lack of space around the ground. Well, it's just Carlton plus 19, but just a little bit of lack of space. Both teams doing well. Reasonably high turnover game this, of course, with the pressure 41 to Sydney, a little bit high there on their end. Carlton smack on season average. The marks 22-35. Carlton, their mitts a little bit stronger there. Marks inside 50. Carlton 6. Sydney 3 down a little bit. Sydney not quite getting their forwards into the action a great deal there. There we go. Tackles, yeah, both teams will tackle reasonably well. 35-38 is Carlton plus 3. Even Carlton plus 3. Sydney. Sydney is still a fair bit above average going into halftime with their tackle count, so that's good. Just the inside tackle, Sydney forwards, they need to increase their pressure down there. Only the 2 inside 50 tackles, season average of 9 there, so Carlton smack on their season average, so not too bad. There we go. We've only got 3 minutes away. Hey, folks, don't forget to vote who you think's going to win this game. So far, we've got 67% saying Carlton's going to win this game. Should be an absolute ring-a-ding, a final term. No, it just depends what team is going to take it by the scruff of the neck and run with it. Who can break the game open? What players are going to stand up and say, "I'll take charge of this game for my team and get the job done." We just need to have a little bit of open space, a little bit of free flow and footy. It should be an exciting game. At the moment, she's a tough old battle out there between 2 bulls of size, Sydney Swans, Carlton. Don't forget, folks, tomorrow we've got a game coming up, 1:20 Melbourne time. this is the only game I'll be covering tomorrow. That's Collingwood taking on Adelaide at the MCG. That'll be absolutely fantastic game. And of course, as we see on the ladder, this will be for top spot for Collingwood if they can win. And of course, Adelaide right there, Kuorn, I think it's Aboriginal week. I forget what they call it, something like that. Anyway, I forget what it's called. Aboriginal round, something like that. Round 10. There we go. So that'll be the ladder. So it's going to be quite interesting. But that's the only game I'll cover tomorrow, folks. That's 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time. MCG, Collingwood, Adelaide. That will be one of the games of the round. And of course, if you want to listen in somewhere else, if you want to listen in on some of the football over on Game Board channel, she'll probably be doing it. Tino will probably be doing the other games, which is Port Adelaide, Geelong at 4:15 Melbourne time. GWS Giants taking on Fremantle. Western Bulldogs taking on Essendon. That's tomorrow night, 7:35 p.m. Melbourne time at Marvel Stadium. And of course, Sydney Swans, where Ryan Avery won Rogue, his team, Richmond, will take on North Melbourne. That's going to be an absolute classic game. Two up-and-coming teams ready to battle it out. I think that's going to be fantastic. And of course, Sunday, that one at 1:10. Following that, at 3:20, will be Brisbane taking on Melbourne. And then at 4:40, West Coast Eagles take on St Kilda. I'll definitely be covering Richmond, North Melbourne. And then we'll probably do the final 3 quarters of the Brisbane-Melbourne. And then possibly the last half of West Coast St Kilda there on Sunday. But yeah, tomorrow's the only one game I'll cover, and that's Collingwood Adelaide, 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time at the MCG. But tonight we've got Sydney Swans, of course, and Carlton. This is a really good game. Don't forget we already had one game played, and that was last night up there at TIO Stadium there in Darwin, where the Gold Coast Suns 104 defeated Hawthorn 96 by 8-point victors. All right, that's about enough of me from jibber jabber. And hey, folks, we are about to head down to the ground because we're going to go for the bounce of the ball for the second half, whereas Carlton by 7 points.
Well, that man there has a big part to play in the second half for the Swans. Just the 3 possessions. We're so used to seeing him run, stream down the ground, but he's been anchored deep in defence. I don't know if he's carrying an injury. I don't know if it's just that he's got to play a little bit taller, but they desperately need his run to break play open.
It was clear the concussion, of course, at the end of last week, but did finish the game with getting that concussion check.
It does not look good for Jack Silvani. When you sit in the back row like that, that would suggest you're going to be subbed.
Once you take your glove off, all bets are off.
Yeah. That's a shame.
That's why it's Jordan Boyd is the sub who will be part of the third quarter.
If it is concussion, then McInerney's fate is tied to that.
Yeah, it's a good point. As I said, he's already missed it. A 4-week block for that clash against Brisbane earlier in the year with Starcevic. Third quarter underway. Sheldrick dives, Sard, and then just towed forward, but only as far as Haynes, who quickly swings the Blues out to the near wing. Just a step behind Wicks, who is so quick, and suddenly sending it towards Cleary. And just got jolted with a bit of interference from Hollands. So it is a Sydney ball. Cleary is that pressure forward. Tom Papley still a way off from returning. Swans starting with a handicap of 7 as we start the third quarter. Placed up for Amati to run and jump. Had his measure. Heaney's hands were quick. Campbell forged the path. Was thinking about whether to shoot or try and square it. The kick was sort of somewhere in between. Gave Lloyd a big task. Durden right back in defence. Just slams it end on end. Florent, as we said, is the sub. Or was the sub. He's out there now to Blakey. Closest to goals we've seen him all night. Sends it towards Grundy. It was a sizable target. Weeder in McInerney. Grundy just when he was about to try and do something dangerous. Had to make do from Hayward to Lloyd. Top of the goal square was about as far as he could muster the kick. Knocked away Amati. Always lurking and dangerously is Heaney. Sard, though, sees off Cleary this time. To chair, it's so hard to stay on your feet. So meaningful controlled possessions are just not a thing in that little quadrant of the ground. And as a result, in the Quagmar will have a ball up.
So the first thing we see from Jack Silvani going off Lewis Young has gone back into defence for the Blues, and maybe that in itself might free up Blakey to do some rebounding and running for the Swans.
It's all relative. When you say Quagmire compared to what we used to see the game played in.
Durden up to Curnow. So the Blues might be able to break quick here. Motlop in the foot race with Wicks. Wicks gets to the front. Motlop walks him over. He turns and goes over, and Wicks got it.
Just didn't have the speed, Mike. You could see him, he was losing the race from the moment it started.
As soon as it started, I think Lewis Jenner and that vision of him herring off, but it wasn't to be on the damp track.
Not too many quicker than Wicks. Spot on. Used it to his advantage. Now Bice. There's one. What is his kicking?
Took way too long to release the kick, and that's what Jack Warner's saying. Why have a bounce? I'm in space, I'm open. You've got to release the kick first up. This is the foot race. He actually did well to use a bit of body and then loses his footing.
Do a whole half-hour show on needless bouncing of the ball, Jason,
Yes,
by the way. On the throw in. Not sure what the ratings would be like. The kick goes forward from Pitnet. Motlop is there again. Wicks got the better of him. Mackay and Randy Sheldrick just trying to barrel his way through.
Just an update on Jack Silvani there. He's been subbed out with groin soreness. He ran back out. Looked like he tried to warm up. Heavily strapped quad. And because Jordan Boyd only just found out. And so he's started to warm up now and be subbed in shortly.
Excellent. It's such a shame. Just needed to see him get a really good run at in defence. Not to be for the moment. And they are weakened in his absence. Swans working hard on the wing. Young back in defence now as a result of Silvani not being out there. Campbell was pretty effective for them last week. Just slammed it on the boot and hoped for the best. And Marty worked his way slowly to the ball and McGovern was with him.
Gee, they're flirting with danger, Carlton. Just watching Isaac Heaney lurking inside 50 in this quarter. There's no real matchup. It was Binns on that occasion. Ollie Hollands had him at one time. Now it's going to be McGovern. He's the one that's just looming forward of the ball for Sydney this quarter.
So Jordan Boyd's played one game this season. He was the sub against the Dogs. He'll be into the fray shortly. Sheldrick was influential in that second term. Heaney, Jordan, and now Chad Warner. But there's no real way forward, and that's not going to be 15. It didn't do McInerney any favours whatsoever. White, bring it away. Curnow run down. Didn't quite have his wits about him. Florent with a big win.
This pressure game of Sydney's been very good since quarter time, in particular, really making life difficult for Carlton to get their ball movement and flow going.
Florent just wanders away.
There's a lot going on the mark there. I'm sure all of that was legal.
Long time to play on. Sets it up. Arms reach up. Heaney stayed down. Pokes it. Through for a behind.
He's going to have to start paying him some more attention. That time it was Cripps who was on him deep inside 50. So they certainly don't have a designated matchup. But if I'm Michael Voss in the coach's box, I'd be thinking about trying to make sure I lock away him. He's the one that's the match winner. He and Chad Warner obviously are looming large.
Margin 6. Binns. Hollands. You can see the view that he has, peering up ahead. What is safe but aggressive? Well, that's wide. It's got to have enough to clear Hayward. It's straight through to McGovern, who employs the torpedo with a 70-metre effect, maybe 80. It keeps going. McCartan. Evans was the company to Florent. Ashur was Curnow, running hard. Got to the wing to Lloyd. His moment of indecision was costly. Brilliantly hunted by Cripps, leading from the front. As he always does. Afraid to do the hard things. Now it's about the skills of the kick and the entry. Evans, reflex, handball to Mackay. Awkwardly backing back out of there, Curnow. You hear the reverse sound just about. It wasn't easy for him. Warner, 55 metres down the line, will do just fine, although not taken by Campbell. So McGovern has a play on it. Campbell again into tackle mode against Saad. Slaps it forward. Warner just cruising across the half back. Didn't make the best of contact onto that. Sheldrick with determination on the tackle. Motlop, a tough time getting control of the footy completely, and no better the second. They were ready and waiting. Still, it's the Blues by 6.
It's a real duel around the ball. Conditions and the pressure compounding all of that. Chad Warner at the back. Build up the moon, he got it.
He's around the footy at the moment, Chad Warner. Isaac Heaney deep inside 50. See him at the top of the screen. It's Haynes this time that's trying to take care of him.
Hewitt wriggled out of the tight spots. Ollie Hollands on the break to give the Blues a look. Slice the kicks. Hasn't done him any great favours. Float the spoil. Curnow, intuitive. He might have only set Blakey on his way out. Here's the run that's been missing. The give and the go. Blakey hunted down. Away to Howling. It breaks down. Amani keeps forward momentum. Ball skipping around. He will make good on the curl. Wouldn't get the bounce.
You can see the crowd's been hanging out for a bit of Nick Blakey run too. It just opens play up, brings other players into the game, provides space.
Careful bounce from Hewitt. The exit complete for Carlton. Up to half forward to Cripps as the focus. Couple of champs going at it there. Cripps, meaningful looking kick to Curnow. Could he from here? We know his method, and he loves this part of the ground. He's got to just get the boots checked and make sure that when he rolls, get everything right. Here we go. Carlton fans watching and waiting, hoping that it flattens out. That is gorgeous, Charlie. Drop dead gorgeous. He's kept his second, and on a night where goals are so hard to come by, it is so precious to kick them from places like that.
You'd appreciate that, Jason. The momentum he got from just 2 steps, that's all it took. He knew what he wanted to do.
Dare I say it, there's a hint of Buddy Franklin in the way he kicks those. He doesn't have the same range as Buddy, but he kicks it around the corner, the big drop punt across the body, and it tails back the other way late, which is exactly what it did there. But it's a much-needed goal for the Blues. Love the one-on-one work from Cripps against Warner. What a great battle that was there. And then to be able to find Warner, and then he kicks across the body. You see it straighten a little bit left to right at the end. Oh, a couple of Blues fans there that like it.
Nice picture as a keepsake from United the footy. When Heaney missed at one end from close in, Curnow from long range at the other. Blues by 11. Rucks go to work. Heaney and Cripps wrestled each other to the ground. Lloyd off the wing. Chad Warner up and down the mine shaft. Get after it over on the wing. Lord went without it. Walsh, 2 coming to him.
Still just trying really hard to break free. Sam Walsh at that James Jordan tag. He's got the 12 disposals, 6 ground balls, working hard. Just 2 score involvements.
Sydney. Bit of rap on.
Yeah, surprise picked out a couple of free kicks tonight. Been a good battle, those two.
Grundy wants to give them a look. Made it up as he went. Right to full forward. Laddams didn't get it. Hamling keeps the pressure on underneath to trap it under Witter.
Straight up, let's get up, no freeze.
Now the setup around it. No freeze, get up. You naughty boy.
It's exactly what it was like.
On the fly, Chad Warner curls it through. You can't keep the good Chad down. He's got 2. Cancels out the Curnow strike.
Now they're just creating almost everything forward of centre, aren't they, Jason, when these 2 touch the footy, Warner and Heaney?
It was a clear hit from Big Net, though, at the stoppage. But he was on his own, Warner. Like he had Walsh. He pushes off.
Walsh had his back to the ruck contest, so he had no idea where the ball was when it was coming. So Warner's got 6 score involvements, the most on the ground. Heaney with 5, second most. I love the way they're utilising them. They're in the centre bounces, then one of them will generally go and play a bit deeper forward. The other will stay up around the footy. Just Dean Cox really trying to maximise his 2 superstars, and they're delivering in this game.
He's fun to watch, Chad Warner. Everything about him, even that sort of thing. I love it. He's an entertainer.
All the senses heightened in this 3rd term. Suddenly some scores from the superstars, and Heaney is injected back into the middle to Warner. Martin sits at 5. Hollands is batted down by Chad Warner. And the handball in haste. Cleary was searching for an ally, didn't find it. He found Walsh instead, who did have a running mate, Binns. On the slide there is Boyd. It's game number 2, as Jared said, both as the sub. In this third term, Curnow was the focus. Bice!
Good tackle, took him on. Great tackle.
You love it when your key forwards can do stuff like that. He can inspire them with long goals, but also gets down and dirty with the tackles up the field, trying to set them up for his teammates. So they've got to fly it. Grundy was there for the Swans. Mackay not happy with the access he was allowed from Rampy, who's used to fighting out of his weight.
Very good at just being awkward, Dane Rampy, and putting his body in the spot that stops the forward from getting to the ball.
Big net, Grundy. Durden is on the move, trying to create the danger. And it was serious danger. Back to Elijah Hollins. No further though. Swans defenders on red alert. Row bottom. Florent, his eyes were looking ahead straight away. What was the exit route going to be? He uses Heaney. That wasn't really part of the plan there to go back to Florent. Apologies all around, and it's out of bounds.
Great smother.
Matt Roberts staying in the contest. Approaching the halfway mark of this third term. Feels like it'll be tense the whole way. Grundy straight down to Durden. Off to Lords. Contact on the kick. It slews away.
The Swans just caught out of position at that boundary throw-in. They weren't able to get there. Durden was all on his own. He wasn't able to maximise the clearance win.
Florent goes to him now.
9 disposals, Heaney, in 13 minutes.
Kai doing the ruck work against Grundy. Chamberlain worked under it by Hewitt. Lord gives them a look up in the pocket. Not a great look. Blakey kept it out of the hands of McCartney. As it panned out, he wasn't to know. Just a little apology on the way through. Close to goal, the Blues creep. Kai entrusted with the ruck work. Grundy has his way with it. Heaney turns on the way out. Another touch in this third turn. Bounces off the chest of Adams. So it's a good shove from Young for his trouble.
They just need more disposals all up.
Yeah, it's flying. They just need a few more to come with them. Heaney and Warner at the moment. Sheldrick had a terrific first half. Just the one disposal. Row bottom as well. Now Florent around the footy. Can they get some support?
Grabbing it was one thing from Grundy. Trying to find a teammate was another, Jordan Copson. From Walsh and Ollie Hollins. A few sweet nothings in the air. I'll have another ball up. Walsh knocked to his feet by young Cooper Lord. Jordan continues to track the number 18 for the Blues. They're both in the focus here. Jordan got to the footy first. Heaney, another possession. It was to the favour of the defensive setup of the Blues and Young. So it started in attack, but back in defence is more regular domain with the injury to Silvani. Mackay, just on the defensive side of the wing, but eyeing off a move forward here for Carlton. Curnow was the lively moving target, knocked away Roberts to great effect to Florent. Good launch spot for the Swans. Drills it to half forward. Asks a lot of handling. He goes after it again. Young though wins out at ground level to Lord. To the inside, Ollie Hollins uses his pace and agility, gets clear to half forward, guiding nicely to Curnow. Tucks the kick into the pocket. And a hard one for Boyd to try and get on the end of forward pocket. Not a familiar place for Jordan Boyd in his AFL career. Spent most of it in defence. And we'll have a throw in with the Blues lead. Still slender at 5.
It's been the move Lewis Young into defence, so Jordan Boyd's come on to play as a forward.
Mackay and Laddams this time. Lord underneath into a dead end. Wick's got him cold. And let him know about it in the aftermath.
High pressure game. This one, of course, with these conditions. Both teams up near 50 tackles each. Real arm wrestle around the footy.
Slow players. The footy took a long time to be returned, and everyone's not where they need to be. Starting positions are set. So the laborious build out of the back line. McCartan. Pick the target there, if you like. McCartan tries to inspire some move with a long kick. Ladhamson and Marty. And Marty worked his way to the front. Italian ground.
Yeah, those contest wins worth their weight in gold.
Get it going, get it going. The urgings of the coach to the next big contest. Heaney got hands to it, couldn't hang on. They scrapped desperately underneath. Haynes with a clearing kick. There was no direction about it, and Curto made it good.
Frustration. Have a look at it.
He wears it graphically, doesn't he, in his first year, Dan Cox. The near side spread. Hewitt. Can't quite roll and go either. Numbers committed back in red and white. Boyd offers the lead. Didn't mark. It's out over the boundary as a result.
Yeah, that's the fine effect of Harry Mackay doing some ruck work at the moment, and Charlie Curnow getting high up the ground. He's been able to get a bit of ball. Tom McCartan's just sagging off him when he is up the ground, but Sydney won't mind that because he's not dangerous inside 50, and on that occasion they'd know when to kick to.
So Mackay, as you said, competing in the ruck against Ladhams. All found Motlop. Cedric found him. There's this constant figure, Jack Silvani. Free kick going the way of Jesse Motlop.
Got to find a target. There's too many long bombs that just haven't been working for the Blues.
So he takes the short.
Draws out Lloyd, who was the wingman that dropped into the hole in that pocket. So it's well done by Cooper Lord.
Lloyd on the mark, Lord with the footy. And a channel for Charlie.
Well, what you saw was some great blocking off the ball there on McCartan that allowed Curnow to get around and then come on the lead. Aaron Francis, who got subbed out early with concussion. We hope he's okay. Look at the body work down here. It just allowed him to get around, and in the end it was Blakey that had to try and get there. Jordan Boyd just putting the body in the mix. Fantastic little block.
Three last week, plays on, and they were ready for him and couldn't quite ad-lib. Well enough there, Charlie Curnow looking for his third goal for the fourth time this year.
That went horribly wrong.
Well, they're the little 1%ers though. They were onto it. Gee, went early, Blakey. I would have just gone before the gun, but got away with it.
Chad Warnigan right under the kick. No penetration. Easy pickings for picnics. This is the eternal question. Where to? Up to the next contest. We're stuck in straight lines. Motlop tried to come through. Elijah Hollins tried to wriggle out. Failed.
Leave it. Thanks, Roger.
A little lucky to get away with that. Took it on. Tried to get clear. Blues can set up around it. Cripps rode the tap. High in the Boyd direction. Plenty of company. Off the ground. Evans. Smith to the right.
Oh, I wonder if he had time to pick that up and kick the goal.
Incredibly, Cripps was free at that stoppage. Not one Sydney Swan player picked him up. He was all on his own. If that's the case, he's going to win the clearance 9 times out of 10, which he did.
Florent got them going. Bice. The ball would not behave for Corey Warner. Plenty to think about in both coaches' box. Ladhams with the early contact on Picknett. With the big blue in his first game back prevails, although sends it to Corey Warner. Wicks just jammed it and hoped. Chera has had a solid night. 18 disposals. When it comes to a hold again with Cooper Lord. Enjoying the career numbers 9-2 with his 18th disposal. Next time he is able to get a kick or a handball. Ladhams, though, for the Swans. The fist forward is almost as good as a kick from Lloyd. Around the fringes of the 50. Hayward out to Ladhams. Didn't really want to kick. At all cost the handball to Sheldrick. And that came adrift from there as that Lord disposal. They work it away. Carroll skids one along the boundary. Hewitt digs it up. And now Evans. Can they prosper this time? Bounces his way tentatively to the 50. That wouldn't have been a mark even if it made there on the 4. It made McCartan's job so much easier. They had the numbers. Campbell, slap dash and hope for the best. McGowan handling against 3 Blues. The numbers will prevail again. Wiedering heaves it. He got the call out here on the near wing and he finds Binns.
Defences are well stocked. McInerney with a hand in. Sherritt broke the tackle. Open the possibilities. Fluffed the kick. And it's Chad Warner with the fair catch. Not a great kick on the way out, although it does arrive before McInerney has caused any dramas by Hewitt.
Really seeing both teams' inefficiency inside 50 this quarter. They struggled for the majority of the year in that phase of the game. At the moment, both forward lines look dysfunctional.
This is who they are. It's a true reflection. Campbell on the wing. Hayward, can he find the way? He's getting right under it inside 50. They skate around on the turf. Wiedering, what a telling fist that is.
So the defences are controlling this turn. Set well behind the ball. It's a real arm wrestle. No one's getting any clean, free-flowing football.
1 goal apiece in it. Wiedering and Handling retreat to the Swans goal square. Cripps gets moving with the stoppage. And the tackle, fitted up. Motlop. We can grab hold of that. Elijah Hollins brings it to ground. Shearer kept a hand free to no avail, really. Corey Warner brings it back. Sheldrick has a look at half forward. It's a wonky old kick. Amani goes past it. Hewitt onto it. Hayward onto him. Hayward with a chance. Now will he dare? No.
Well, it's handling deep, and all he's trying to do is stand next to Wiedering, so he's not offering anything. And Amani's just drifted down deep now.
Florence bursts at the 50. It's possible. Didn't have the accuracy.
So that's the risk when you play, Jason, a defensive forward on Wiedering. When they do have an opportunity, he's not even trying to present or give them something to kick to. All he's doing is just standing next to Jacob Wiedering, not allowing him, so they need someone else. But Amadi just starting to slow down a little bit. He looks a little bit fatigued.
He's chasing on the way out here. Elijah Hollins, though, to skim it. McCartan took a chance. He left Curnow and was going to snatch it. So just under 4 minutes remaining. Just a goal each in this third quarter. It did come to life for a brief 2 or 3. It's just gone back to sleep again. And it is tight. It could be headed for yet another grandstand finish. Campbell ran the ground, but not before he released it to Grundy. Still searching for the right look, the right kick into the 50. Warner just tempers his normal style. He went short and effective to Roberts. Before Boyd could close. And South Aussie become a permanent fixture in this Sydney defence. Roberts. So Doug Nichols' logo all the way forward to Amadi and friends. Heaney stayed in, but we knew it wasn't going to be for long. Good conditions to fumble it over the line if you're a defender. Isaac Heaney, 27 disposals. He's doing his best. 13 in this quarter.
That's where they've looked dangerous. Ground level play, some stoppages inside their forward 50. Not getting much aerially from any of their keys.
And Cripps wasn't giving Warner any space at that stoppage. He knows how dangerous he is. He's been punished once.
Jordan. Maybe a free kick for high contact, but umpire not biting on it. Heaney was charging through, and now he puts the smother on. They are desperate here. Trying to circle the Blues. Jordan just tacks. Ping balls back to Saar. He clears the immediate danger. Feels like it's coming back again. Rampy, a rare venture forward. It wouldn't shake back. They took care of handling. Swans fans. Well, maybe there was some interference. Michael Voss has moved to the back, which is always a sign that it's hard, heavy going. in the coach's box as well.
Don't know that they've got that much say in proceedings now, Joey. The heavy conditions, the way the game is being played. Slightly hands tied, the coaches.
That's about as basic as footy gets at the moment. Grundy tried and failed. Chera just clears. Find a reprieve out at half-back. Wicks runs straight into Mackay. Kicks it out on the full.
The thing if you're a coach is do you start running some fresh legs through the midfield, because these guys are doing a lot of heavy lifting. Warner and Heaney for Sydney, Cripps, Chera, Hewitt. So you just start getting a few of these half forwards that maybe haven't done a lot in the last 20 minutes or so around the ball.
Curnow couldn't get a run at the mark, so he made the spoil. Walsh didn't get it to his boots. Must have been a good enough attempt. Roberts, McInerney, Corey has a fumble. So Warner left it in dispute.
It's interesting, given marking's really tough, I'd love to see Nick Blakey released. He could come up the ground, he could play midfield, he could go and play forward. Give you something a little bit different, a little different look at things.
Rowbottom at the source, takes a few yards. McGovern didn't adequately clear. Hayward around to Cleary, shot it to Rowbottom. They're all in such close confines. Chera sticks the winning tackle.
There's just no space for anybody. Very good again, Adam Chera.
How could you shut it down any further when it's already shut down? Adam.
I think players do that out of habit. That's a horrible kick.
Poor step on the slippery surface. McInerney to Heaney. Kept his wits about him. Guides it inboard. Rowbottom worked around the umpire. Try to find a path. Give him a look up forward. Sard pushed it forward. Chad Warner gave himself a look. It's smothered. There's numbers everywhere around it. And Young again just dabs to the defensive 50. No mark, so Cleary fights on McInerney, who made the spoil. Heaney. It feels right that it should be in his hands.
He's been the one, hasn't he, that's taken this game over in a massive third quarter. Now he gets a chance to kick his second.
The Hollands is not happy.
Well, in the dry, that's not paying. I wonder if there's a little more consideration given to the conditions and how difficult it is.
Just premature on the whistle, I reckon.
Yeah.
Didn't have it under control. It was in his hands, but not stopped in flight. Regardless, Isaac Heaney got one from a bump ball and one from a spilt mark to take full toll and tie it up on the way to three-quarter time. Dwayne was at home going, footy gods, footy gods. Carlton by 5.
That's going to be a conversation for the Carlton coaching staff at three-quarter time. Surely it's just a full-on plan. You're looking at this game, low-scoring, arm wrestle. Who's going to win it for Sydney Swans? It's going to be Heaney and Warner. I'd be looking at just sacrificing a player and saying, don't let those guys win the game for the Swans.
Haynes, does the goals feel too far away? What will the method be here? If they can win a contest down the line, that's Harry Mackay, who seems in no rush, but why not from there? Certainly he's of the same thinking. 10 seconds to go. Down the line, can they fluke a mark or a crumb? Grundy gets it to safety. And we ready ourselves for the last quarter. It may not have been a memorable match so far, but you can see the superstars are at work tonight. Will it be Patrick Cripps or Sam Walsh, Charlie Curnow for the Blues, or Heaney and Warner do it for the Sydney Swans in the last quarter? There's been casualties along the way, but we are set for a huge last quarter at the SCG. So sneak and get your cup of tea and biscuit and get ready for a big final term. All right, tomorrow it is the Magpies and the Crows. And Isaac Rankin, can he do his magic at the gym?
If you... All right, three-quarter time here. It's the Blues by 5. The Blues by 5. 1 goal to the Blues put in on that third term. 1 goal for Sydney put in. Sydney winning that third term by just a point. I tell you what, folks, it's a scrappy game. It's a scrappy game. As I said, looks like Heaney will be the one if Sydney can get up and win this game, I think it's going to have to come off his boot. He's looking pretty dangerous there, and I think I agree with the commentators. You want to claim someone on him, shut him down for the final quarter. I think the Blues might be able to get the job done. But, that being said, the Blues have had plenty of chances. The Swans were just starting to pepper down in their forward 50. It was held down there for a little bit. So Sydney is still looking good. 5 points of difference. Anyone's game still at the moment. Kabina, there you go, and up the Cats. There we go. Well done. 57% still saying Carlton are going to win this game in the vote, in the poll we've got going on. So that's going to be interesting to see whether we can keep this, this pretty good percentage of poll correct in the way we vote here. So what was there? Only 2 goals put on in that third term. And let's have a look. Chad Warner lifted up with 1, so he's got 2 now for the Swans. McInerney, Heaney, Hayward, Hamling all got singles for the Swans. And, of course, Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow, Paddy Cripps, all multiples with 2 for the Blues. Corey Durden, just a single goal scorer there. 3/4 time stat result. Have a look at that. Isaac Heaney coming into the game. Big time in that third term. He's up to 29. Look out for him to have a cracking last quarter. As I said, if he can have another exploding quarter like he did then, and the Chad get up and running. These are the 2 players who will certainly get up and do it, make it happen for the Swans if they can get up. 29 for Isaac Heaney, 4 ahead of his next rival, which is Adam Kehrer for Carlton on 25. Heaney, though, doing it well with 14 kicks, 15 handballs, a mark, 2 tackles, 7 clearances, 1 goal, 4. Wow, look at that, 1 goal, 4. If only they were straight, he should have probably kicked a few straight. They were saying about that, the goal he scored, well, that was one that definitely bounced before going over the boundary line. The umpire gave it a free kick, and he kicked a goal from there. And then the umpire paid a mark, which probably wasn't really. But as I said, the footy gods were there smiling down on Carlton because he just put it through for a behind. Let's just keep looking down. Mitch McGovern on 17 there for the Blues. Brodie Grundy continues. He's having a great game. 15 touches, 38 hit-outs, 7 clearances. And we're going to get back down in just a moment. Charlie Curnow, still 2 goals, 1 off his 13 touches. Who else have we got there? We'll just roll down. Stick these down there and you can have a look and see if you can find your favourite player. All right, that'll do some of the team stats there. Let me just quickly roll back up. If you want to see the team stats a little bit slower, just make sure you replay the coverage, and you can put it on pause for the stats. Looking at the live ladder at the moment, Carlton up to 9th. Well, I'll tell you what, it'll be different if Carlton don't win. All right, let's head back down to the ground with the commentators. They'll take us into the final quarter. We're only a couple of minutes away. It's the Blues by 5 points.
As we heard from Dean Cox pre-game, Isaac Heaney, the intention was to spend more time in the forward half. Now, he did a lot of that in the first half, but he's been moved into the midfield in that third quarter. I just noticed the coaching staff for the Carlton Footy Club, they were around the whiteboard for an extended period of time. I would think it'd be all about Isaac Heaney, and I'd be staggered if George Hewitt isn't the man to go to Heaney in this last term, because he's the game breaker.
Yeah, you're spot on, Lynchy. And George Hewitt is the logical matchup around the footy. The problem is, once it's in general play, Jace, he just drifts forward. Yeah. And we saw the whole quarter where there's no one really then becomes accountable for him. He becomes part of the team defence, and they hand over, and no one really takes responsibility. So I more wonder whether they discuss as a Carlton back unit, when you see Heaney in the forward line, someone has to actually go and clamp him and not allow him to get to work, because that's where the damage is going to be done inside the forward 50.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you've got Warner to worry about, who's the other one. So, but I agree with Lynchy, and you've been talking about it as well. They're the 2 players that can probably beat you. So at least try and cancel one of them out, and then see if you can get team defence around the other one, because you're not going to tag 2 players, particularly in the midfield, but you've got to pay very close attention to the potential match winners there for the Swans.
I've seen worse ideas than for 1 quarter tag, not to tag both players. I think it is maybe something they should consider. I know people we'll look back and say, well, it pulls apart the team defence, but the way this game is playing out, they are the two. So we'll keep a close eye on that. For Carlton, it's been really, they've all chipped away. They've all had their moments. Obviously, Cripps and Hewitt and Shearer doing their thing, but a couple of the youngsters have come along, and Curnow and Mackay look dangerous as well. So if the Blues can just break even in clearance this quarter, which they've been struggling for the majority of the game, give those tall forwards some one-on-one opportunities, that's where they'll come to the fore. But if it's slow and high, like we saw, of course, it's going to be at ground level where they'll have to scrap away.
They're both going to start in the middle, Chad Warner and Isaac Heaney. Hewitt, closest player to Warner, and Cripps next to Heaney.
If we all stick around long enough, the game of footy is bound to break out eventually. Carlton by 5 points into the final term on Friday night footy. Rucks lean into each other, pit net, but all he did was knock it to Chad Warner. Swans go forward first. McInerney gives them a hope in the square. Off the hands, Amati lurks, has it, the hook. No.
He did some good body work on Haynes to get him out of the way, but then maybe a little more composure, could have taken his time, had a bit more space than perhaps he thought.
3 behind.
Penalties, that's the big issue here.
Back to 4 points now. Haynes. There's nothing unexpected, just kicks down the line to where the rucks are located. And his teammate, most importantly, Pitnet, in prime position. And sends it a little wobbly down the line. Swans well stocked. Blakey eyes straight away to the middle. He'll always feel like it's on through there. Wicks to Warner. Bit of power running at it. Cleary long on the hands. Grundy kicked one last week. He's got the taste for it. Oh, Brody puts them in front, and he's still got the energy to high five just about every patron in the house. The Swans are back in for a chase.
It's a good celebration, hello. It's a goal worthy of a celebration like that. But again, it comes back to who are your good ball users? Nick Blakey gets the ball at half-back. He's been unsighted. He's had half a dozen possessions basically for the game. But he finds a corridor kick, and that opens up options. Warner gets involved, and then a couple of link players. And that is a great finish, a running goal from 50 for a ruckman. They're the sort of things that can separate a game like this.
They've had some frustrating final terms in recent times. A couple of weeks ago against Port at the SCG, 5-8 to 3 goals to lose by 8. And then last week, all manner of opportunity against Essendon, but 3-5 to 1 behind to lose by 8. Grundy's put the Swans in front. He's back in the middle. Shearer had it pinched. Chad Warner going for broke. Has a bounce and chips the kick. Didn't do McInerney any favours. Still they go. Campbell blind hand pass. Cut off. Haynes, Hewitt, Sard. From half back to half forward for the Blues. An early whistle. McInerney and the Carlton's ball.
That's a big one-on-one win. Comes viral free kick, but he must have had good position.
Decent death stare from Curnow. Blakey couldn't find the way through, so kicks for Chad Warner.
And it's another corridor kick from Blakey.
Amati's on his own.
So that's 2 kicks from Nick Blakey that have resulted in shots on goal. And maybe he can have the last quarter that gets them over the line. We spoke so much about Heaney and Warner, but that man in the number 22 jumper, Nick Blakey, he's capable of great vision and some exceptional kicks.
Did the hamstring and gather round. And kicked 9 goals in the 4 games prior. A test of nerve. In a game like this, you've got to take your opportunities. And Amati meets his moment. Swans with 2 quick runs, they lead by 8.
Well, Sydney have signalled their intent in this 4th quarter. You can see Blakey, before he received that handball, he sprinted out of the defensive 50, which we called throughout the game. We haven't seen it all. And now it's over to the Blues. In some ways, this might just wake up Carlton now offensively, and they have to start to try and put a little bit of speed on the ball, change some angles, play with flair to try and match Sydney's start to this quarter. They can't just keep playing long and safe anymore.
Which is what they've basically done. We saw a couple of corridor kicks from the Blues early in this quarter, and then it dried up. Everything's been long up the line. Get an overlap if you can, but it's been really wide and really basic football. I agree. They now, the onus is back on them to force the game.
Carlton's biggest lead was 13, but 3 straight goals now for the Swans. They're out to an 8-point advantage. This one is going the Blues' way to pit net. Depth on the kick. Curnow fell over. So pretty easy going.
It's the same kick every time, though.
Ice comes to a standstill. Open to offers. He threatens to use Wicks, but instead just tucks the kick in between.
Contact. Carlton.
A couple of teammates. Florent gives up the free to Evans. To the inside to Chera. Mackay now leads, darts into the pocket. That's where it's headed. Oh, backing back. That is a great unexpected grab from Francis Evans.
That was a terrific mark. It was Mackay that made a strong lead. Nick Blakey just slipped off the ball. So that was the first incident between the same two players. You can see Mackay, the kick was intended for him. It was a great kick, in fact. And Evans, strong contested mark.
Harry team orientated enough to give the high five to Francis Evans. All the time probably thinking, at least make the most of it. He's had 2 shots tonight. Hasn't yet been able to convert. And that time he can't even score. And not easy tonight, particularly from that part of the ground.
Well, it's been 2 great kicks from the Swans in front of goal in the last term. And that's a horrid miss from the Blues.
Blues have gone the best part of a quarter without a goal. It's the 8-minute mark when Curnow rolled and kicks that goal in the third term. Swans trying to plot their way out. Roberts flares risky. Evans got the fist. Blakey on McGather was clean. Takes the territory up the line. Hayward ran underneath it, and the turnover comes as a result. The Blues, can they restock? Got through Motlop. Cripps coming. Not a bad decision. Now, how will the umpires see that? He was going the chip and charge. Not in this sport.
I know as well make it clear the AFL that if you kick the ball off the line, it is insufficient intent.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, all they're doing is just giving themselves a little bit of wriggle room if they need it, but that is what the rule basically is now.
McCartan to halfway. Up went McGovern. No mark taken. Wiedering feeds it around. Gives Elijah Hollins a chance. That's not much of a kick, so the Blues going to have to straighten a bit of this out if they are going to challenge with the ball in Heaney's hands.
A pop kick from Heaney. Lloyd. Blakey just creep up from behind. Everyone gets a little more excited. The Lizard long towards the 50. Laddams and Grundy. He likes this roving forward business. Campbell took a step to get balance, but you're not doing that, says Mitch McGovern, who rips it an outstanding tackle. Wasn't expecting that from the big guy.
Yeah, great tackle, but this is as good as Sydney have looked ball in hand all game to start this fourth quarter.
Both ruckmen look disorientated with what they've done to each other from that throw-in. Free kick to the Swans. To Jordan.
Bit of a tough night for Sam Walsh. Hasn't found a lot of the footy. This one's gone against him for tackling without the ball. And another massive, if he can provide a straight kick here, James Jordan, this opens up a serious gap in the context of the way scoring has been tonight. This is going to be a big, big lead.
Just 3 goals, 2 for the season. His role is primarily defensive. Unfortunately, had the goal umpire on the wheels straight away.
Gee, that would hurt if he was able to put that through.
So if he misses at either end.
Time for a bit of run from Sard. He set Boyd a task, left him underneath it. Lloyd the spoil. Luckily for the Blues, it goes out. Nothing lucky for Boyd in that. Left waiting underneath the high ball.
Oh, he's got one on
the
side of the head, the chin.
Incredible free kick there for high contact.
And the corky on the hammy. I reckon if you see the knee of Lloyd come straight into the back of his leg.
He's got everything, Joe. He won with the lot there.
Thanks to Sard for the kick.
Grundy. having a good final term. Elijah Hollands kicked it into the stands. The line insufficient intent when you put it that many rows back. Just touched on the way, was it?
A little deflection there. Just got to find a bit of composure here, Carlton, offensively. Don't want to be panicked and rushed.
It's got to nullify Grundy. Trying to get it to the back. Stuck underfoot. Elijah Hollands worked forward. Cripps had it stolen. Hewitt. Elijah Hollands just a fumble in close. Lords down as he kicked it. It'll land on the vacant wing to be dealt with. Roberts worked over. Walsh, Durden. It's needed the one on the overlap. Young was in the tackle as it arrived, and it turns over row bottom. Swans just take the yards, 2 on 2. Haynes hasn't got it. Laddams, what's he done? We should have the behind of the year. Somebody floated that. Jeremy Cameron kicked that ball on the top of the post.
A little bit of the world game here. The bicycle kick from Stephen Laddam. Would that have been spectacular?
I'm all for that, Jared. Behind of the year. The near miss mark of the year. Like that as well. McGovern on the way out. Serious business this for the Blues now. Cripps was denied. It's coming back. Heaney low ball. Dangerous ball. Sheldrick full of confidence. Boyd did enough. Laddams shoved out of the way but wouldn't be denied. Wiedering just tracked it and tracked it. In goes Cleary. Out goes Cleary. Walsh. Hayward almost lost his backs. Not his composure or his sight. His foresight to see Heaney. Again a wobbly kick. Hamlin, no! 1-2, but not 3. Clawing water. Back to Laddams again. Chaos. Madness. Wicks. And a behind.
Joel Hamlin had that and he relaxed. He thought, I've done the hard work. It's an easy mark. And he just took his eyes off the ball and dropped the centre.
I'm surprised. Gee, they're just hanging in here, Carlton. They are really scrambling.
We spoke about Warner and Heaney could win it for Sydney. Who have Carlton got that can actually find something here, something a little bit different?
2-4 to nothing in this term. And your mind just wonders, how are they going to come up with a goal, the Blues? And 2 at that. They give ground and just chip it around. Haynes. At some point, there's going to have to be a sense of adventure to it. McGovern.
Part of the loss of Silvani. He's one of their best kicks out of the back half.
Oh, look at that.
That is high risk. Could it be the high reward? It might. Hewitt should use Sard. Can Sard hit the accelerator? No, he just goes forward. Walsh works it around. Curto nailed.
What a tackle. That is potentially a match-winning tackle. A goal-saving tackle. That is brilliant.
McCartan uses Lloyd. He has hit. Well, they've had a great duel, haven't they? Curno's had his moments, but McCartan, you fancy he's got the points in a moment like that. And Carlton's best chance still, there was just a little bit of hesitation rather than roll and go.
It wasn't fully convincing, was it, the ball movement? Each individual. Roberts. Confidence is being exuded by the Swans right now. They look up on the scoreboard. They're happy with that. Job is not done yet. Bias. Revelation early in the season. Floats one deep. The big man, Laddams. He's got a free for a shove advantage. Paid and not taken fully. It's another behind. Heaney has kicked another point. 1-5 for the night, Isaac Heaney.
They have been fiends for this in final terms. Sydney, that's 2 goals, 5. The Blues threaten to muck it up. Hewitt tries to make good. Chera to find the way. Give the forwards a look. Wicks engages. White put it to ground. Wicks, McCartan in close. Curto tapped it to his own advantage. How the umpire see that? Oh, it's insufficient as well. Couldn't really kick it to the boundary, but squaring it up.
I think he's trying to keep it in front of himself so he can run onto it.
Sideways will do you in every time. So McCartan with another win, out to Jordan, tackled by Haynes.
Just lost a bit of their forward structure, Carlton, those last couple of entries, because Mackay again's doing the ruck work with Pitnet on the bench, and Curto a couple of times caught high up the ground, so they've only got the smalls inside 50.
Slapdash from Harry inside. Roberts took him on, lived to tell the tale. Rampy, McInerney guides it away to Chad Warner. Disposal number 27 coming to go with Heaney's 33. You're not going to have to search far to work out where it was won if the Swans prevail. Chad with a long kick. Laddams is influential. Sheldrick gliding through. He's got the money kick and he's left it short. I reckon there'll be a word or two about that. Boyd, go!
He does with a bounce, but takes them particularly wide to Ollie Hollins. Can they work their way around the flanks? Skids it and then hopes. Florent cuts across. Plenty of the footy since he came onto the ground at half-time.
They just don't look like they're going to use the ball well enough to give themselves a chance, the Blues.
Nice.
Very sloppy by foot.
To Lloyd.
And they're controlling the game now, the Swans. They've got extra numbers behind the ball.
Clock will be a factor soon. Tries to isolate Heaney.
And Jace, there's just no overlap run whatsoever off half-back. So you mentioned Blakey's run earlier in the quarter. There's nothing from a Carlton point of view. You just can't see how they score.
Really got to give Adam Saad license just to chase the footy, even if he goes on ball.
He gave away the free. McGovern is trying hard. He got some contact as well. Bice looking for a free out of it. Here's Rowbottom. Tough. And again. Little gap there for Hayward maybe. They probe away. Sheldrick. Heaney desperate to hit a target. He can't at the moment. Mechanically Walsh clears. Durden tries to stay a foot. And he gets a shove from Corey Warner, I should say. It's fair to say he's not that impressed with the decision. Durden, on the line he goes, on the bounce, but a mistake for Motlop. On the 10-2 by Florent. And still it's all hard labour for the Blues with the footy.
A little bit stiff. Not a lot here. He couldn't believe what was paid. Thought he got him in the side.
Right on halfway, Young's doing the ruck. Shearer scrapping underneath. Walsh, Motlop. Laddams comes to thwart him. Motlop did well. Loose forwards to get a look. No, Rampy keeps it away. Mackay tried to corral. Rampy found the way out. Marty's just come back on the field. Sees it over the boundary. So Mackay staying away from the ruck contest now to give them their forward structure, Joey. It's been missing.
They've realised they need Mackay forward, so they brought Young out of the ruck. The problem is Harry Mackay's knackered. He's just done some ruck work after being forward. Now he's pushed forward again, so he might need a spell. They need to get Pitnet back out there in a hurry.
Grundy and Young made a mess of it. Hewitt to Motlop, who was well manned. Shearer again.
Couple of sloppy free kicks from Corey Warner.
Shearer goes for the overlap run of Boyd. Can he give one of these forwards a look? He does. He rams it onto the chest of Curnow.
Gee, that's a cracking kick. That is gone like a bullet. I think Tom McCartan had a very, very quick look at Matt Roberts as though to say, you had to cut that off. That was yours to cut off, and he went straight past him. He looked back at him very quickly.
He certainly did. He managed to just control his emotions.
He said, oh, I won't give you a spray, I'll pick you up instead.
Charlie's kicked the Blues' only goal in the second half. It simply must be. Charlie Curnow makes it so. And the Blues are still there.
So we needed it to keep the game alive, Charlie.
Yeah, it was a clutch kick, absolutely. Boyd's the one that is providing a bit of run. Obviously the fresh legs with Masabi is a beautiful user. Certainly generating that run from behind. Got to use him at every opportunity. Perfect execution.
Yeah, he thought he had cover, Tom McCartan, with Roberts in front. He thought, well, he's not going to get me on the lead, and I'm here to spoil it if it's up in the air. But Curnow's athleticism took him past Roberts. Took the ball, and then importantly, they've had a couple of misses. He's able to kick it, and he's trying to fire his boys up.
The passion of Charlie Curnow. He's kicked a 4, and that's his 4th bag of 3 for the year. Charlie Curnow, 21 goals, and the Blues are back in it. Back to within 6. Heaney to Rowbottom. On the hook to centre half forward. Carroll fearlessly went out, left the door ajar though, and Campbell just strolls right through and answers right back for the Swans. Deflating for Carlton, but brilliant for the Sydney Swans. are set for their 4th win of the season, but still 7 minutes away.
A great time for the Swans to get their first centre-bounce goal. It's been the only one from either side for the game. Scoring from stoppage has been really hard work, but
man, Heaney.
Yeah, he sent the clearance, feedback, and then unfortunately Carroll Sarge just got caught ball watching for half a second, thinking his teammate would take the mark, and that's all Braden Campbell needed. He's a class player.
Showed good courage here. Matt Carroll, but just didn't complete the mark. The moment it hit the deck, they were vulnerable, and there's the quick answer. They worked so hard to get their goal, to get back in at the Blues, and then just like that, it's taken away from them.
Got to keep your spirits intact. Swans by 12. Knocks immediately into each other, and the ball is way off. Each plants a foot on either side of the line. And the engagement. Flipped up by Heaney's boot. Carroll didn't quite get there. Swans are threatening. Lovely hand pass up to Rowbottom. Didn't have any direction about it. Cleary's fast hands to no avail.
This side of the post. You're good, stay this side of the post.
6:40 and not far away from Devil May Care. And Wiedering plonks it long and strong. Pitnet rises, has support. Shearer and Walsh right under it. Ollie Hollands had a little stumble as he went to come forwards. Rowbottom ran into Shearer. And there they stay.
There's still enough time. They don't need to be reckless yet, Carlton. It's only 2 goals, so they've still just got to continue to play their way, take some calculated risks and run and carry, but nothing reckless as of yet.
Chera tries to force his way through. Swans appeared to have him covered, but they left this man loose. Cripps off the outside of the boot. Eventually, Lloyd was able to control it, but couldn't dispose of it. McConnell over the top, polite question posed by Rampy to the umpire. And he's got it.
Yeah, free kick. But the lack of composure from Cripps, he had 2 guys either side that he could have drawn in handball, but again, just that anxiety to want to get it moving.
His own umpire, I think, was the man that called it. The high contact is Blakey. Hewitt, careful with the tackle, not careful enough. Cleary, can't believe it.
It did look like a hand over the shoulder though, didn't it? The umpire can only pay what he sees. So you have a look here. The left arm is up over the shoulder. The umpire's going to pay that. He has to. You've got to make an effort to get those arms as low as you can. Get lower down around the hips. Take it out of the equation.
He's had an outstanding season. His kicking is probably the one aspect that's been questioned at times, but he's been a real leader for Carlton, and they need their leaders right now. And he wasn't quite able to deliver. McCartan, meantime, couldn't quite get it across the line. Now that job is done. It does put them under 2 goals. And Andy Boyd, it just has to be said somewhere along the line. It's compulsory commentary school. Peter Landy's days onwards.
5 to go. Blakey signals his intention. And he follows through. Grundy comes up to meet it. Decided not to mark, just to swat it away.
That tells you the Sydney mindset right there. They just want the stoppage. They want to slow it down. They're 2 goals in front. They know times on their side, stoppages are a good result.
And look at the clearances by 11. And Grundy makes it 12 decisively. It's past Hammond and Wiedering to the next stoppage.
It's a perfect result. You win the stoppage, you take 50 metres and you start again. Set up behind the ball. A really good position for Sydney. So it puts the pressure back on Carlton to not just win the stoppage, but create something from it when you win the clearance. You've got to be able to link, run and carry or hit targets.
Grundy and Pitnet, that's a real mess. And whistle Jordan slapped to ground.
It's just a lottery, isn't it, the ruck contest these days? The whistle's going to get blown. So Carlton have just brought up 1 forward to the stoppage. They've still got 5 playing deep.
At the source, McInerney overran it. Walsh and Cripps after the same ball. Cripps feeds a hand pass, but to no advantage. Heaney and Chad Warner have been the 2. Toss it up, and Marty stands underneath. Plenty of spoilers. Ground ball, Sard hasn't diffused it. Hayward's threatening. What's he got? Row bottom. Winkle down a kick. It's gone nowhere, never mind 15. Darting back toward it. Oh, almost dragged off. It was McInerney. Appealed. Went unrewarded. Lovely kick. Ollie Hollands bounced off the chest of Harry Mackay. And there it ended for the Blues. Heaney sets the Swans up, and again just control. You must have control. Lloyd has it in hand.
It's a massive opportunity lost. We've got a chest mark from Harry Mackay. You're in the corridor. You've got the front half open. Can't afford it.
It's been the difference this quarter, the composure of the two teams. Sydney's ball use compared to Carlton.
Completing your plays. High ball. High flyers invited, but no one really able to take that up. Hewitt again, steaming out of defence to Mackay and then to Sard. He just had to flip it up and hope. Jordan wins it back. Wicks disturbed as he kicked, but he got it in there again. Pouncing on it. Could this be the one? Yes! Dotting the I's. Crossing the T's. Finally, O'Heaney puts it through. And that might be the one that finishes off the Blues. He had 5 near misses, Isaac Heaney. He kicks his second goal. 38 disposals for the game. And the stars of the Swans separate the match in the end. And their lead is 17 points. It might well be the end of the Blues.
I think it may be. Again, just left alone inside the forward 50. He's just patrolled that all evening. And he's had 6-time lucky. He's had plenty of cracks at it, but that is probably the exclamation mark, Jason, on what has by far been the best on-ground performance that, if not for some inaccuracy, could have been one of the all-time special games.
I don't know if it was Cripps or Chera, but one of them, probably Cripps, that just couldn't push with him when he had that burst of speed to take himself forward. Oh, that's a throw.
Cripps up to Chera, not whistled. Bouncing ball. Hamlin switched back, so it's in preservation mode. Roberts out to Grundy. And terrific in his final term. And he's already won 2 good Zone Lockback medals. It'll be his 3rd tonight, surely.
Yep.
Grundy uses Lloyd. Hangs for a long time. McInerney read it well. Stood under the fly ball. And whether he can get that distance or not, he wants to run the clock.
It's interesting when you indicate and you say to the umpire straight away, I'm kicking for goal, and then the first thing you do is you turn side on and motion to a teammate, you're going to chip it sideways.
And so it goes into the pocket. Blues have got numbers around it. Wiedering brought it to ground. Shera's job to find a target. He does with Boyd. Links it up. Ollie Hollands and back to Boyd. It's got to be run and gun, doesn't it? That's downfield. Heavy contact on Boyd again. So the Blues just don't have anything up ahead. That's been a familiar refrain in this final term. Hamling and Lloyd and Chad Warner, all lovely hand passes to take ground. McInerney gave it straight up. Cripps and Chera downed by Campbell. Swans win it right back. With the stuffing knocked out of him, not for the first time.
He got the double. The ping ball from McInerney to Amadi. And that'll be looked at as well.
Absolutely.
McInerney's got a couple of moments to worry about. Amadi there as well. Umpires just let Boyd settle to see if he was okay. Now players able to resume. Campbell to the forwards. Amadi. To go back and put the final touch on it.
The weighted numbers has been too much now. That's their 23rd mark for the quarter, Sydney. They'd only had 33 marks in the first 3 quarters. Such was the arm wrestle and how hard it was to get free-flowing footy, but they've been able to control the ball in his 4th quarter, all like the Sydney way.
It's his 5th shot at goal. It's his 2nd major. The Swans have dominated the final term and put the Blues to the sword. It's 5 final quarter goals. 5-5 to 1-1 with the game on the line.
6 of the last 7.
Yeah, been a great performance. They weathered the storm in the first quarter when it was all Carlton. dominating intercept possessions and repeat entries. They weathered that. They went in at quarter time, not too far down, and then second and third quarters really became an arm wrestle. And they got themselves back into it, James. Their pressure, their ground ball, contest clearance, all the sort of the fundamentals, and then their ball movement and their skill has come to the fore in the final term.
They had a big second half last week. It wasn't enough to come back and beat the Bombers. But their second half, again, they butted up this week and they've just dominated the Blues. They've had no edge, it's been relentless.
So the last minute, Chera heads towards full forward, knocked away by Hamley. Elijah Hollins feeds it back to Cripps. They'll fight all the way to the death. He has to. The death is a fairly painful one for Carlton, it seems, tonight. They are 8-8-56. Sydney 11-12-78. Blakey's going to kick the Swans back down the line.
Yeah, it was a wobbly ball. Stewart had it covered. He's got a target inside 50. Walsh has run to space. Shut down initially. It's been paid here.
Tried to crib about 5 metres on the Carlton. That was ambitious.
With the final moment of the night as the Sam Walsh shot at goal. Chad Warner knows. Isaac Heaney, the influential force. Could that be the win that puts the Swans back on track? Only the margin to be determined. Sam Walsh's kick is lovely, but to know that it's a 16-point defeat for the Blues. The Swans defend the fort at home.
Needs a bit, doesn't it, by the look of that?
Great show of resilience by this group. As I said, they couldn't get it done last week after dominating the fourth quarter against the Bombers. They came out of the blocks and they were under all sorts of pressure. They scrapped and hung in there. It was a real scramble and arm wrestle through those middle quarters, and then, as we said, they just continued to press, got the better of Carlton with their ball movement and offence late in the game, and obviously it was off the back of just superhuman performance from Isaac Heaney and his sidekick, Chad Warner. Absolutely outstanding. And that was really the difference, the class and the talent of those two compared to on the other side of the ledger.
Big loss was Jack Silvani, wasn't it, for Carlton, as we go down to Alistair Lynch.
Thanks. I know Chad just celebrating with your teammates. Looks like that really meant something.
Yeah, I think in front of the home crowd to win the way we did, to keep in the game, not let them get too far away, and then run over the top. It's such a relief, to be honest, and we've done the work, so deserve it.
What was the talk at half-time? Because from the outside, we felt that you were lucky to be as close as you actually were at half-time.
Yeah, well, I think we probably get yourself out of it a little bit, but I think after clearance, we're a bit unclean with the ball. We're fumbling a little bit like that, but I think that was the main message, just stop fumbling, and I think we did that in the second half.
And looked like you started to really get control and started to have some targets inside 50 that you could find.
Yeah, I think in the first half, as well as fumbling, we let their interceptors into it a lot, which is something that we looked at before the game, so I was disappointed with that, but I think we really fixed that in the second half as well, and that was the key. And your own performance, looked like you were up and about, and probably your best performance of the year. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was great to see Isaac, Rowie, everyone doing the same as well. I think it was just a really gritty effort from everyone, and could be more so with the two. And tell us about, obviously it's a special round, it's the Doug Nichols round, and I hear you had an inspiring presentation pre-game. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah, Mickey is an absolute legend. I think he lifted us a lot. I think he came in just to make a little speech, but then he got carried away, but the boys loved it, so he's an absolute legend. He is a legend of the club, and he'd be very proud of you guys tonight. Congratulations, well done. Cheers, Alistair. Thanks, stuff.
He's had a big few weeks since signing the contract. He'll be in the coaches' votes again, so that'll be 3 straight weeks there. He too had won a pair of good Sir Lachlan medals. I think he's going to get nutted by his great teammate Isaac Heaney, who will claim his 3rd in a few moments' time in the Martin Good game. But that sense of relief is absolutely palpable. It was season on the line tonight.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And when we talk about trying to turn your season around, it doesn't just necessarily come with a flick of the switch. You have to grind it out. You have to build some momentum and just really try and work through it. And we saw signs last week, and then today, maybe something they can springboard forward with until the mid-season bye. But that looked more like Sydney, particularly in that second half. I thought Joel Amati, even though he didn't kick straight, just helped straighten them up a little bit, provided a real presence in that forward line. Nick Blakey, we spoke about him, but really got going after half-time, and that made a significant difference to the Sydney Swans offence.
For all the ground that Carlton have made up after their poor start to the year, got things level at 5-5. It would have been a real launching pad. Now they're still chasing, aren't they? It will be for a while at least.
Just right back in that mix, aren't they? Probably, 5 or 6 teams scrambling for maybe 1 spot in the 8, potentially 2. But when you sort of start the way you do, you don't give yourself much wriggle room. You have to get a lot right. And they had their chances through the middle part of the game. They couldn't seal the deal. They left the door open. Sydney were able to just take full advantage and with by far the better team in the second half tonight.
Both teams 4 and 6 as they leave Friday night footy. There's a toll on either side of it. Aaron Francis will be in the concussion protocols, so he won't be at the MCG against Melbourne, and there's a bit of MRO work to be done with Amati and McInerney. Mickey O.
It's a bit slow to get to the proceedings, Mickey.
He loves a spotlight, doesn't he?
He is one of the great fellas in football, Mickey O. A ripper bloke.
I'd like to know more about it. He could have been carried away with the Swans boys. I wonder what that looked like. It would have been a heap of fun by the sound of it. Being in charge of proceedings. I wonder, Callum Mills. So a lot's gone right for Sydney tonight. He's on the runway to return now.
Just imagine if they had those players, Papley, Goulden and Mills back available.
The weaponry.
Maybe you could make some.
They had, you saw last year, was quite amazing. All right, we're ready. Mickey O's ready. We're ready for the presentations downstairs.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what a final quarter there from the Sydney Swans here at our Margaret match at the SCG. Now the Sydney Swans defeated the Carlton Blues. Before we call up the winning captain, I'd like to welcome the living legend himself, Mr. Mark Lachlan, to come forward and present the Good Joe Lachlan medal to the best player on the ground. This medal was created to honour the contribution of both greats Adam Goods and Michael O'Loughlin. And the winner this year of the Good Joe Lachlan medal tonight, with 38 disposals, number 9, Isaac Heaney.
Firstly, thanks to the boys, had an amazing tough effort and been a bit up and down like us this year, and we scrapped it out, which is amazing. The fans, absolutely incredible. Thank you, and what a round, eh? Learn about our Indigenous, Indigenous, and we can really connect here together as one. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Michael O'Loughlin will now present the Mark Trophy to our captain tonight, James Rowbottom.
Just want to second Isaac. Thank you to everyone for coming out tonight and supporting such an important cause and an important round for not only the AFL but the country. So thank you everyone and have a good one.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but it was enormously satisfying. A gutsy win for the Sydney Swans, and there's a pulse for season 2025. They now go to 4 wins and 6 losses after 10 games, and it's a lot better than 3 and 7. Had to do it the hard way, had to come from behind and They ran over the top of them on the back of some unbelievable individual performances, boys. But they gutsed it out. This was much more Sydney Swan-like.
More Bloods-like, wasn't it? Didn't see it in the first half last week, but I think internally they thought they were going better than what their win-loss record suggests. And on the back of, I think you said it, Geordie, coming into the game, you look at that second half. So I think they copped the whack at half-time last week from Coxie. But then they responded, didn't they? And obviously they were able to carry that into tonight.
They did that in fine style at the end. Like that last quarter was absolutely dominant.
They did.
And they were able to, we saw the system.
Yep.
You know, so Carlton's pressure was over 200 for each of the first 3 quarters, and it was down the 170s for the last quarter. They weren't able to sustain that pressure on ball, and Carlton's game breaks down if they can't put pressure on the opposition. And Sydney were able to, started shifting the ball, started, absolutely dominating field position, made it really hard for Carlton to move the ball as well, and controlled that last quarter absolutely.
It was eerily similar to last week's fourth quarter. I mean, the inside 50 dominance, they had 18 inside 50s last week for 3 goals, 5, 17 inside 50s this week for 5 goals, 5. So they had a lot of the ball. They would have went to work this week on how they maximise that when they get the opportunity in the fourth term. There were some big moments. They weren't perfect, Sydney. Be right, their stars stood up. There were still some moments that they'll learn from. This footy club still had their chance. I mean, the Mackay mark in the middle of the ground that he dropped went back straight away a goal. That was a big moment in the game.
The difference to last week to this week was Sydney, they nailed their first 2 shots a goal at the start of that last quarter.
Yep.
So they got in front, didn't they? And then so they weren't chasing. They got in front and then obviously held the lead and went away with it in the end.
Helps when you have a bloke called Isaac Heaney in your team too. So first player since 2016, I'm hearing 35 plus touches, 15 plus contested, 10 plus clearances, and 10 plus score involvements. So
yeah, 7 shots on goal.
And he kicked 2 goals.
2 kick straight.
I think that's what he said to Mickey O as he was walking to Mickey O. He said, "You need to teach me how to kick straight."
Yeah.
Well, he kicked 3. He had 15 touches, kicked 3 points in that third quarter.
All right, let's have a look at our UE fourth quarter moments here. And they were 5 points down going into this last quarter. And well, I don't think it's a stretch to say it's season on the line. Brody Grundy got him started. The big fella loved it too, didn't he? He slotted that one from outside 50. That got him back to a 2-point lead. They didn't look back on the back of this. So Marty slots this goal after some good work from Nick Blake. He's starting to get involved. Charlie Curnow had a great battle with Tom McCartan. Thought that was outstanding. This is one of the great tackles there from Tommy. And ball goes back down the other end. But he had, as I said, he had moments as well. This performance here was this the goal?
Dart, yeah.
This is a dart as well. But he kicked one from
He had a huge third quarter, guys.
where the 50 met the boundary. But after that, they steadied again, went back into the middle. And those boys, Heaney and Rowbottom, who worked so hard in the middle of the ground, get involved. And look, it's a drop mark, so that gives you an opportunity. And maybe last week they don't kick that goal and Essendon stay in the contest, but they were good enough and sharp enough. There's a missed opportunity for Georgie Hill. Goes back, should have kicked the goal, could have closed the margin back again, but just not quite able to.
But I think that's the thing. Like we'll celebrate Sydney. Absolutely, they did a lot right. But I still think Carlton had moments that they just, unfortunately, tonight they didn't stand up and take, and that's a disappointing part. But you're right. We'll cover this man off a little bit more in detail, but. You can just see here from the highlights and the opportunities missed at one end and the opportunities taken at the other end, and that's the difference in the game in the end. Amadi, a really composed shot.
Straightened him up, I thought, Amadi.
Yeah, he did. I think his contest was better in the second half. He's trying to find his feet in the first half. Yeah. His contest in the second half was at the elite level, and it wasn't the prettiest game by any stretch, but this is a game we spoke about pre-game that they needed to win to keep their season alive.
No, I think this will be as satisfying as any they've had. I think they'll go into the rooms and we'll see them in a moment. They'll walk down that race and Dean Cox will gather them, and as Buck says, this is what it looks like when it comes together nicely. And they got, as we said pre-game, if they can just hang on and just stay close enough, they get to 4 and 6 now. If they can square, I think you had a look ahead. They got Melbourne next week in Richmond before a ball.
Adelaide, Adelaide, then Richmond.
Melbourne at the MCG, Adelaide back at the SCG, and then Richmond at the MCG.
I mean, we shouldn't look too far ahead. We've all fallen into that trap before, but if they can, and they can square a ledger, then get some players back after the bye, then you wouldn't be wanting to play this team anywhere.
We saw the frustration in Dean Cox during the third quarter, and then the celebration, jubilation in the last. They've been like that through the first 10 weeks. Their best has been really good, and there's been frustrating periods for them.
All right, folks, there we go. Well, it was the Sydney Swans, the Swannies. They got up over the line tonight, putting on 5 goals, 5 in that final term. It was the Heaney show, of course, as they said, and the Blues only 2 goals, 2. That's it. I'll tell you what, they struggle, the Blues, don't they? They only kicked 3 goals, 4 in that second half. But the Swannies put on 6 goals, 9. We had the poll. Hey, the poll got it wrong tonight. 57% went for Carlton. We got that one right. Just say g'day to Jeremy Miklos. Hey, going all the way over there from the US of A. Good to have you in. Thanks for coming. Hopefully we see you back on the coverage again. Of course, your man Mason Cox playing tomorrow, 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time. 15 hours. That could be a little bit late. It's probably around about 1. Oh, that might be 3 a.m. in the morning. But there we go. It was a fantastic game. Boy, I tell you what, she was pretty scrappy. Pretty scrappy game. It was pretty even the first 3 quarters, but it was Sydney. In the end, they certainly were the ones who wanted to win. Carlton just couldn't keep the pressure up, and Sydney being so close, finally had their way with them in the final quarter, taking it out by 16 points. Well, we will have a look and see if the ladder's updated in a moment. Let's just check through the goal scorers there for everyone. If you're keeping an eye on that, of course, Charlie Curnow topped the table with 3 there for Carlton. Harry Mackay with 2. Paddy Cripps with 2. Singles to Sam Walsh, Corey Durden. And, of course, for Sydney, Chad Warner ended up with 2, with Isaac Heaney, Joel Armity with 2, McInerney, Haywood, Hamling, Grundy, and Campbell, single goal scorers there for Sydney. Disposal getters, well, Isaac Heaney, he topped the table. He got best on ground. Yeah, well, I was a little bit surprised. Maybe even Brodie Grundy didn't get that, that award. But I tell you what, his stats were undeniable, Isaac Heaney. 2 goals, 5 he kicked, 38 disposals, 21 kicks, 17 handballs, 2 marks, 2 tackles, 10 clearances. I think he had 10 score involvements. Wowee. That's what we said at 3/4 time. I tell you what, they need to just man him up and clamp him down that final quarter, because he could be the factor, the X factor, and he certainly was in that final term. Adam Kehrer topped the table for Carlton with 33. He is a pretty good effort there. And, of course, Chad Warner, 30. Isaac Heaney, Chad Warner, both in the 30s, as dangerous for any team when they're playing Sydney, when those two boys get possessions like that. Paddy Cripps ended up pretty well with 26. George Hewitt, 27 for Carlton. I'll just roll down the board a little bit. Sam Wicks with 20. Matty Roberts with 20 there for the Swans. Sam Walsh with 19 there for the Blues. There we go. Brodie Grundy played a great game, I thought. He kicked a goal, 19 disposals, 5 kicks, 14 handballs, a mark, 3 tackles, 47 hit-outs, 8 clearances. So he was, tell you what, he should just about get a couple of votes. Come Brownlow night, he was fantastic, was Brodie Grundy, the big man. There we go. All right, there are your player stats. Let's just quickly whip over to the team stats. Not a great deal in it, just plus 14 to the Swans. In the end, kicks were pretty similar. It was plus 20 to the handballs to the Swans. Inside 50, both teams got plenty of it. 52 to 54 inside 50s, plus 2 to Carlton. Disposal efficiency, a little bit low for both teams. Of course, free kicks there, 22 apiece. There we go. The umpires kept it nice and even, didn't they? The hit out, so Sydney with Grundy dominated there, 52-28. Clearances, there we go, plus 13. Centre clearances, plus 5. Stoppage clearances, plus 12. All to the Swans. Contested possessions, well, only 12 in it. Not a great deal. And uncontested, similar. Turnovers, both high for both teams in this match today. Carlton, plus 16 in the marks. Inside 50s, 6 to 10. Carlton were a little bit better there. And in the air, of course, with the contested marks. Defensive tackles, 69-72, both teams tackling well. Carlton a little bit better tackling inside their forward 50, but that pressure from Carlton certainly dropped off. I'm just going to try and reload this ladder up, see if it is up yet. And of course, there it is. There is the ladder now. Of course, we know Brisbane, Gold Coast, Collingwood are the top three sides. But tonight's teams, Carlton and Sydney, well, Carlton there stay on 10th position after playing 10, 4 wins, 6 losses. And of course, Sydney move up the ladder now after playing 10, 4 wins, 6 losses on 16 points, equal with Carlton now, just a game outside of the 8. Sydney Swans just lifting their percentage a little bit, and they need to. Your percentage, it wants to be up around 108 going into the end of the season, so they still need to lift that up a little bit. But not a bad effort. The Swans will be very happy with that. Game board, Jody. That was, you know what, it wasn't too bad. That was only loading in about the last 50 seconds of the game. So we got most of your game covered there. So that hung on reasonably well tonight. Let's just have a look at, I just want to say, don't forget, folks, tomorrow's match we've got coming to you 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time. That's Collingwood and Adelaide. That's going to be an absolute ring-ding-ding game from the MCG. That's going to be an absolute classic game. Next week, Sydney and Carlton, let's see who they play. Next week, Sydney, they'll take on Melbourne at the MCG. That's next Sunday. And of course, Carlton next Saturday, 12:35 p.m. game. They'll play at Marvel Stadium. They'll take on the GWS Giants, which are in fine form. So it's going to be a couple of interesting games where Carlton take on the Giants and Melbourne have a home game against Sydney Swans at the MCG. Be a really interesting game next week for both of these sides to see if they can, if one, Carlton can bounce back, and two, Sydney can continue on their winning form away from home. At least Carlton's got pretty much a home game there at Marvel Stadium. A little bit strange playing at Marvel Stadium. I thought they would have played at the G, but obviously there could be another game on at the G at the same time. But, well, I tell you what, folks, it was a close game. We've had some close games so far in round 10, the opening 2 games of round 10. That's what we like to see. Close game is a good game. All right, folks, that's all I've got. Thanks, everyone, for coming in. Game board, Jeremy, and everyone else. And, of course, Chi was here, and Ryan, Addy, G. Good stuff. Everybody, thanks very much. I will sign out. And until tomorrow, 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time, Collingwood will take on Adelaide. Let's ciao for now. We'll see you at the next game.